do this. Yeah, the screen is full, so let me put back, give us some other on the backstage for now. I'm bringing in our guests. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Paul, for joining us. It's good to have you on the show. I guess you can hear me, sir.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much for having me. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you, sir. Thank you very much. All right, my people, for now, I'm just going to quickly put everybody back on the backstage so that we can have one-on-one quickly. Then I'll come back to you guys, as you all know what we do here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. All right, Mr. Paul. Thank you, sir. Once again, my name is Elvis. I'm the anchor of this show. So we are very pleased to have you here. A lot of people have clamored, have bombarded me with messages. They want you to come to Naija Watch and speak. And we just played one of your videos few minutes ago, and everywhere is already shaking. Where this guy did since we like him, we do this. So I want to know what is the what is your USP? Please tell us a brief introduction of yourself, sir. We want to know you.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Elvis. There is not much to know about me because I do not roll with big title. My name is simply Paul Okungbowa. I'm an identical twin. I'm born and bred in two states. Um, Married with kids, of course, yeah, and I do my business locally here. And like I said, everything about me is basically two states, and it reflects my desire to be on the ballot because I feel like I haven't exercised certain content that are for me indelible. I still believe that the the ideal thing in leadership space should be ideas subsisting rather than powerful men and women subsisting. And I'm a graduate of University of Benin. I studied microbiology. I hail from one the local government. Um, I'm currently 40 years old. I just turned 40, and I'm a school proprietor. I have five schools within the city, and I'm also the convener of the popular pre-university tutorial called Gorilla Brains. Um, I do a little bit of tech, you know, and although I did not study tech, I find myself using common sense in that regard. And I also have interest in other small, medium enterprise businesses that I try to do just to augment and patch along with the ever troubling economic times that we find ourselves.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We're just going to get on with it because we have a lot of people that would like to ask you questions today. I'm pleased to have you on our show. Najawa's Media is a political platform where we bring our leaders here for questioning and why they want to rule us. As you and I know that a lot of them have failed us woefully in the past. I labeled most of them as satanic, and I hope by God's grace, you will not turn out to be one of these people or that will now start rubbish weather with them. Because at the moment, with a couple of your videos, according to my research that I've seen, how you talk, your passion, how to turn Edo State to something better than what we've seen in the past. Um, I'm looking forward to hearing from you today, sir. But before we start, what is your roadmap to govern Edo State?
Well, I think the question is it has divergent answers. I cannot just put all together within this time frame. But there is no roadmap that is bigger and greater than being of service to the people and having a form of um, let's say ideas that can actually cause some real change. And for me, whoever becomes the next governor of this state, just as it is with every other state currently in the Nigerian economic space, if it is not a government that has the ability to create wealth, it will just be as usual, borrow, spend stupendously, put one or two projects, and of course, steal as much as they want to steal. For me, the most actionable part of what I would describe as my roadmap is having the ability that has also been tested to create wealth from almost what is not available. So I believe that if we can create a very robust economic times in Edo State, we'll be able to address every other facet of our needs. If we can create a robust economy, that's something that drives me more than anything. So if it answers your question as to the ambiguity of the question of being a roadmap, I'm just led by that passion to see work going on.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Paul. But I'd like to know, what plans do you have for agriculture and food security in the area of self-sufficient in terms of agricultural products?
Well, the reality just now is that I've gone through some manifesto of some of the candidates of the industries, and I realized that they are mostly fine polished English. They are the norm. It's like when you ask AI to generate something on agriculture for you, AI will give you some fine English. What I've always harped on is, you see, when the wealthy class who seem to have assumed that it's their pride of place to be in government, because they cannot share vision, they will share money. And that's how they thwart the genuine process of selecting good leadership. Many years ago, I've been adumbrating on the possibility of creating a very robust economy, leveraging on agriculture. Because the truth is, when you do not have substance, you begin to look at the available, and you begin to make do with what's available. What is available to us is that we are blessed with population. What is available to us is that we are blessed with arable lands. What is available to us is that we are blessed with consumables and consumers. And what is available to us is that we have a variety of livestock that are not by any form of geographical placement hindered from growth or productivity in the Nigerian space. And because Nigeria does have some bloated population strength, I believe that if Edo was to intentionally go into rotational farming, for example, when I mean intentional, it means dragging the entirety of government policies to cause that sort of robust engagement in agriculture. I believe that if you're able to also bring young people into that space, the moment young people feel that sense of entitlement that they could actually be agropreneurs, you may have successfully created so much wealth in agriculture. And I've said on several that if we can make agriculture Yahoo of some sort, if we can make agriculture the new Yahoo of some sort, because whether we like it or not, the proverbial saying that fence fall, goat climb, it is what is inherent today. A situation where the younger generation do not see any other thing to lean on. So whether we accept it or we do not accept it, fraudulent engagement has become an economic way forward for the generation that is just beneath me and my generation just now. And so that energy and creativity that they bring into this fraudulent engagement, that zest that they bring into this fraudulent practice, if you were just to stop fleecing them of their commonwealth and direct a portion of it to agriculture, and then build it in such a way that it can outlive any administration, then you will see that the wealth in agriculture, so long as there is numbers to leverage on, is so much that can actually become an economic boost to any state. And I want to get intentional on that. So to that effect, I want to reincarnate a proposition that I started off many, many years back. I had to schematize the operation of agriculture. I felt like every year when they draw a budget, when you read through the budget of from the State House of Assembly, of course, very robust stamped House of Assemblies, and then again, those who put up the budgets just now, when you read through what they intend, the implementation policies behind the budget, all you see is like AI generated. You don't see the passion in the write-up. It's like when somebody's writing a literary piece about life and death, you almost want to perceive that this person has had a near-death experience. You almost want to be dragged into that death equation from just consuming the knowledge that the person is positing just now. And I feel like what we have been having before now is just some sort of very artificial and very inorganic approach to causing a robustness in the economy, use leveraging on agriculture. So what I did some many years back was to schematize the operations of agriculture. So I came up with a template, and I went to visit the Oba of Benin, who graciously gave me his name and said, anywhere I go, I should tell them he's the one that sent me. And then who graciously prayed for me and asked all the palace chiefs to stretch their staff of office towards me and pray for me. And this is because I had come with a very different approach to agricultural engagement. In my succinct concept, I built agriculture into a scheme, a situation where even you, Alex, that is interviewing me just now, you don't have to be an Edo man to invest in agricultural fortune.
Elvis.
Of Edo. Sorry, Elvis. You don't have to be an Edo man to have such investment. You don't have to be resident in Edo State to invest in agricultural projects that is only on Edo State, if only it has the right government paraphernalia, it is driven by the right government policy. So in my deposition, I had proposed that the thousands of acres of land that is available across the 3 senatorial districts of Edo State. And I have also done soil sample analysis of this, the soil samples that I took from the 3 senatorial districts. And I came to a conclusion that Edo soil was as fertile as the soil in the north that used to grow the yams, the tomato, the pepper, the granules, and the water view. And I came to a conclusion that the mechanized approach to farming, to agriculture, has to be something that government will sell on the template, and then individuals will hijack it. So in my proposition, imagine you, for example, you hear that government is rolling out some certain advertorial, asking the public to come invest in agriculture in Edo State. And in this investment portfolio, you have to invest on plots of land. You have to make certain financial deposits for plots of land. And so the more plots of land you invest in, the more the yields that will come out of the expansions that you decide to cover just now. And the more the yields that will come out, the more your dividends from the sales of these commodities. And so I brainstormed that we should first of all look into readily consumable agricultural produce that has a short shelf life. And so in my postulation, I was looking at vegetables, I was looking at tomatoes, I was looking at pepper, I was looking at watermelon, I was looking at melon seeds and all that. And so I had a chapter 2, which was a secondary plantation that takes cash cropping, and I had a lot of prepositions for animal husbandry as well. My proposition has covered conversion of animals waste to fertilizers, which is quite organic and better to meet standard organization requirements, both internationally and locally. My operations have engulfed the massive productions of hog from piggery. My postulations have captured mass production of poultry to satisfy the Nigerian market and the distribution network. And as far as cropping goes, I had postulated that when the yields from this, your own investment quota within states is out. And one of the things I was going to give you the impetus to participate was that I had gone as far as dragging an insurance company that was already in paper, agreed to have insurance cover for these investors in the agropreneur scheme. And I've gone as far as getting export agencies that were going to readily take our produce outside, not just within the 36 states of Nigeria, but across Europe, across America, across Canada. And while I was saying this, I had not traveled out of this country. This project started nearly 14 years back, and I had not traveled out of this country. But lo and behold, I was in Manchester last year, and I discovered that green pepper, green plantain, down to Begiri, was sold in an African shop in Manchester. And I said that if we want to get intentional with wealth creation, we want to use agriculture to create wealth. One, we will secure the rural environment so that the farmers who are afraid to go into the farms will have the impetus to go into the farms, and there'll be a large-scale productivity going on in the farms. And I've also postulated and asked myself, when I bought okra from Manchester, the sad part was that
The owners of that African market were Pakistanis. And while I was decrying this on social media, my friend in the US wrote to me that the biggest African market in Dallas, Texas, where he is, belongs to an Indian man. And I said to myself, is there anything wrong apart from stealing people's wealth? Like in Edo, for example, nearly $1 billion every month devoted for security vote. Meanwhile, the length and breadth of the state is still plundered into insecurity, especially where in the current reality that insecurity pervades the length and breadth of those State was the abduction of the PDP chairman, who is the chairman of the party that has the CSO of the state, you know. And I was like, what is wrong if Edo State government gets intentional and set up markets across Europe, America, and Canada?
Because of time. All right, because of time, we're going to give you enough time to talk about these whole things later on, because we have lots of people on the backstage that want to come in. I don't want to take much time passing questions to you, but I have just 2 questions left for me to take.
It's all right.
You can hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Yes, I have just 2 more questions. I'm going to divert out of agriculture right now to ask you about the situation we are facing, because you yourself, you are youths. You know, I like the fact that having a youth, you know, aspiring to become a governor is a beautiful thing for me. I like this. But I would like to ask you, sir, you know, how do you intend to tackle cultism, drug cartels that are now in the choice? In fact, in different areas in those states have destroyed most of our youths. As you and I know, almost every month we lose our youth through cultism. Then 2, because we're going to take 2 questions together. What is your stand on BTC, Benin Traditional Council? Thank you, sir. Take this. I'll bring my guest in.
Okay. On the area of cultism, it takes 2 to tango. I find it quite a disturb that the political class have armed cultism to the extent that these people feel very entitled and very enabled. Because the truth is, a one-time serving head of state in Nigeria once mentioned that if terrorism or insurgents fester beyond 24 hours, know that there are elements of government involved. There are people in government that are culpable. Now, in Edo State, it's not a hidden agenda. It's not a hidden matter that virtually every December, there is some senseless killings happening across. While I'm not against brotherhood, I only have a problem with the cascading of such brotherhood into cultisms which snowballed into senseless killings. There is, of course, a need for brotherhood across any length and breadth. But I believe that one of the easiest ways to tackle senseless killings and cultism is when you are not culpable. First of all, I'm a proud son of the Lord Jesus Christ. I have given my soul long to him, and I do not fancy the idea of having myself entangled in any fraternal group. However, I show respect to all men on the basis of the choices they have made. And as such, I have always done my design. And I believe that it is when the fence falls, actually, that goats will climb. By my security architectural design, it may seem quite impossible and difficult for such dastardly killings to persist within the state. But before we get into security, as it were, and my purpose.
All right. Okay. I think network issue right there. Okay, Mr. Paul, can you hear me? I think there's an issue right there. Okay, I'm going to bring all my panelists back to screen right now. Mr. Paul, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, we lost you for a few seconds. That's fine. If you can continue from where you stopped, it happens. We understand.
As I was saying, it puts me at a vantage position to attempt to redefine the process of selecting leadership by wooing the people on the basis of actionable, proven, and doable manifesto than to rely on toggery and fraternal affiliations to garner the support of the political process. That way, I naturally do not owe any form of allegiance to any group. And so it will be easy for me to have security meetings wherein the borderline cause of rifts and misunderstandings can easily be discussed and addressed, because the fraternal organizations just now are legally entitled to operate. If you check the CSC documentation, you will see these organizations are registered. So whatever it is that causes the ripple effect of what we now see as cultism, particularly the senseless killing, is something that our security architectural design will first of all address, and very importantly, we intend to engage these young men and women. The engagement that we are bringing on board is such that they will rather want to keep creating wealth and making money rather than being idle and fanning the armbands of unnecessary war. And on the part of the BTC, there are certain things for me that are untouchable. I must be frank. I will not begin to be economical with my words because I want to garner the sentiments of elections just now. First of all, I am a Benin man with profound respect for the crown. And I cannot in good conscience sit in an office where there is a tussle of leadership as to who is to take possession of the repatriated or returned artifacts, when I know historically that the artifacts were not taken from the government, but they were taken from the palace. The palace, for me, reserves and deserves her respect and her pride of place. If the Oba of Benin deems it fit for whatever reason to disavow certain high chiefs or enigi, for me, there is the monarchical structure already. It is government on its own already. It has certain sovereignty, so as long as there's been no abuse of power. If the Oba decides, for whatever is good reason to him, to ask certain chiefs to abdicate their position, I don't think it is the place of any man or government to begin to hobnob with such persons, first of all, one. Two, to begin to try to want to twist the Oba into the reconsideration, or begin to hide behind shades and covers to have the Oba dragged before the judiciary. I, for one, believe in my heart of heart, because growing up as a child, my father and my grandfather were very traditional people with profound respect for the monarchical structure of Nigeria, as it were, not to talk of my state and my tribe. So I feel the Benin Traditional Council has its sovereign rules. It has its legitimacy crowned by God himself. I believe the Benin Traditional Council reserves within its oppression, the certain privileges that are bestowed on the crown. So long as there is no abuse of human rights, so long as there is no abuse of power, which in this case, I, for one, have not seen. So I believe that if there is anything that is upgoing within the Benin Traditional Council, it is left for the Benin Traditional Council in our wisdom to settle such matters and leave them within the palace and within the monarchical structure. Else you'll be attempting to want to usurp the place of the monarch. Else you'll be making unnecessary or unguided steps that may want to seek to relegate or reduce the influence of the palace over her subjects.
Okay. Wow. Although I have more questions, but I'm going to stop my own questions here. Let me bring my panelists in so that they can pass their questions. We're also going to take some questions from the comment section, and we're also going to take some calls as well. So, and I guess you have enough time to entertain us today. I appreciate you for your time with us. Let me bring everybody in. Please turn on your camera if you want to ask a question. My guests deserve to know who is speaking and where you are speaking from. All this must be said. Okay, let me put in the people that is already here with us. Okay, one more to go. Okay, some of you, your camera is still off. For me to call you, your camera must be on. You cannot be called if your camera is not on. Okay, let me start with Mandeluk. Mandeluk, you're the first on the panel today. Good evening to you, man. Please, because we have a guest today, just tell our guest where you are joining us from and go ahead with your question. Thank you, man. Madeluke?
Can you hear me?
Okay, now, yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine. Good evening.
Good to have you. My name is Esse, and I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia. It is good to have you here, and a breath of fresh air. I am appreciative of your time coming to talk to us today, and I have listened to everything you've said. I don't have any questions for you, but to wish you the best because it is campaign season and everybody has a lot of promises as a candidate. And the taste of the pudding is yet to be determined. But like I said, because of your youthful exuberance, and I will take a younger candidate any day to an older candidate, somebody who at least has the time to work with the youth of the country. And I feel that you have the capacity, and I feel that you have the equipment, economically and financially and intellectually, to do that. The only thing I might ask is your plans for the women in your cabinet and how you are going to help the elderly. We have a lot of elderly people who are neglected in the community. What will you do in terms of social benefits that will help the elderly people and also women in your cabinet? That's my only two areas.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know if I can quickly get on that.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, sir. Please,
Okay, thank you.
You need to take every questions into 2 minutes, sir. 2 minutes.
Okay, it's all right. Thank you so much for your question, ma. At the risk of sounding biased, let me quickly say here that I am not a politician, and that's the honest truth. I'm a victim of the maladministration that has long been protracted. And I just got tired of complaining and writing and complaining. And I decided that the best step to now address an pending issue is to get into the room because I can't address it from the outside. I'm rather the one you want to describe as an idealist. I have written to several governments on how to step away from taxations and leverage on ideas to create wealth. I have written to Adam Shoshomole, and I've also had my conversations with this current governor of Edo State on the ideas that I carry. I'm so much a victim of the maladministration that even while I'm talking to you now, you will not know the courage that I'm summoning. First of all, on Monday last week here, I lost my mother to medical malpractice. A thing that I've been trying to fix for the past 7 years, that I lost my father to the same medical malpractice. So the person you see before you is a complete victim, one who seeks to keep addressing. And then I've tried verbal address. I've tried stand-up address. I've led protests, and I realized that these things are not going to work. And then I feel like I have ideas in my head. And so I feel the basis upon which any candidate at all and any political party, except its business as usual, should come before the electorate to correct the sentiment of their vote is if you can discuss with them proof, something they can relate with, that if these things you're saying are done, indeed life will be better. Now on welfare, let me go strictly to something for the elderly. 2 months back, I packed by a popular market in Selu market to buy cocoyam. I love to eat cocoyam porridge. And while I was at the Selu market, the next thing I heard was sharp noise just at the express. The moment I turned my back, an elderly man had been used as brake pad by a trailer. And then when we rushed to the road to try to rescue the elderly man, the trailer had climbed the elderly man. So the first thing I did was, so the mob will not descend on the driver, I told the driver, run, drop your key, run. The driver ran away. So immediately, I called some people, let us pull this elderly man out. And then, oh, lo and behold, his intestines have been mutilated. But here's what I thought of. Why will an elderly man, obviously in his late 70s, be crossing the highway at this material time? So for me, I just quickly delved to one possibility. He went to hustle. Poverty has ravaged him to the extent that he can't just fold his arms and die inside his house. He had to go outside. But I believe that if there is a proper welfare structure, the elderly, especially the vulnerable elderly, are not supposed to be left to themselves. A typical thing that happens in this part of the world is that when an elder, male or female, looks scroggy and unkept, it is easily ascribed to witchcraft, wizardry, or witchcraft, and they are treated as such. I have said countlessly that if given the place by the collective will of the people and by God's grace to become governor of the state, my first point is how to raise the GDP of Edo, turning Edo from a consumer state to a producer state, leveraging on the entire spread population in 36 states of the country. If I'm able to create that needed wealth, my next plan was to have the elderly on a minimum of 50,000 naira stipend sent to them on a monthly basis. And I intend to actually use credible people to gather such database of such people, because I believe that everybody is not pensionable. Not every single one of these elders. Edo State currently has less than 4,000 staff. So naturally, the pension program of Edo State will not even cut across let's say 1/3 of the elderly population. So for me, there has always been this yearning part of me to have welfare programs and package designed deliberately, because in a sane society, the young, youthful, and energetic are supposed to work so that the weak elderly are taken care of by the energetic, creative nature of the young people. Only sadly, our elders have refused to clear the stage for young people here. You find a man in his 70s still active in government service, while those in their 40s and 30s are jobless. And this is something I also intend to extend to women. I believe that I have a very creative wife. My wife is Igbo by origin. So most times I mock her by saying Igbo girl. My wife, I became her friend when she was 16 years old. Mind you, it was not a moral friendship. It was a productive friendship. I sowed in her seeds of creativity. I was able to have her embrace, instead of going to parties in university, but attend inaugural lectures to learn. My wife has become for me an economic giant. And I feel like women like my wife, if they are in government, are a lot. If you go to the history of Nigeria, Okungbowa, in Edo State, these women are proving to be quite resilient in ensuring the right thing is done. So it is for me to carry the women community along, because it cannot be the male community only. I have always had love and respect for women. When I was in the university, my friends used to call me a womanizer. And it's not because I was randy, but because I was naturally nice to women. I have a soft spot for women. Men who beat their wives natural or beat their girlfriends, I ask myself, how do you condescend this low? For a woman who is as, of course, I know I'm a married man, I've been for 10 years. It's not always rosy and dandy, but I find silence. If my wife offends me, I keep her quiet. It's a lot better too. So there's this respect for women. So naturally, I'm very concerned about the elderly, because it's something I wished for my mom until she died last week, Monday.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Paul. Due to time, I would like to move on to the others, but I would like to first pour in my condolences for your own parents. It's very fortunate to know that Nigeria happens to them. Yeah, because this is one of the things we're talking about here, and that is why we are here. I've said it so many times. Those of you that is always saying, it not concern me, this is the result. I said my condolences once more. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Let me come to Mother Patricia. Mother Patricia, please tell us where you're joining us from and pass your question. Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening again, Mr. Elvis. Good evening, Mr. Paul and Mother Patricia.
Good evening,
joining from Denmark, Copenhagen. And of course, I don't know, I should say good evening to all the panelists, the other panelists, and of course the people on the comment section. Mommy Diaspora, thank you for all that you do. We are grateful for having you. Yes, Mr. Paul. It's been a pleasure hearing you. Yes, I believe you are the person that will take Edo out of this quagmire. I can see the passion in you is contagious. It's contagious, So, like you said, you've been a victim of the system, which most of us here are. So we are all in the same boat in that regard. And when I hear somebody that is actually desiring to do something about the situation, I know. And with all that you have said today, I'm 100% sure that if given the chance and the opportunity, you will do much better than whatever we have seen. Because
thank you.
You've just captured everything I want to hear. You know, I believe what you just said, the few that you said, I know you have a lot more to do. But
Yes.
with this few that you've already said, you know, that is in your heart, I believe that if you're given the chance, Edo State will be a totally different place for everybody to live, and it will be a destination for us
Thank
to
you.
come back home and help to develop. Because I believe it will
Family
not just be.
concerned.
All right, Madam Patricia, do you have a question?
I will say I will leave the rest, I will leave the question because I know that for me, what he has said, there's a lot of things in his plate. But the few ones, the first step, first things first, and the first thing he needs to do is what he has presented. So I'll leave it like that. I don't have a
All
question
right.
for him. Good to go. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
Madam
madam.
Patricia. Now praise. Now you can't praise. Okay, thank you, man. We already know that you are a fan now. Thank you. All right, let us move on straight away to the next person, which is according to how I have it on the panel, is Mr. Ike. Mr. Ike, turn on your camera. Then I'll come to Mr. Jonathan before Honorable Sam. Mr. Ike, we can't see you, so you might not be able to pass your. Okay, go ahead, sir. Your question. Thank you, sir.
Okay, good evening, Elvis again, and good evening to Mr. Paul.
Amen, sir.
All right, I'm actually calling. I joined from Houston. Um, we've all, like say, most of us have been driven away from the country where we initially and said we were going to sit and salvage the country, but because of one reason or the other, we had to take shade or take like accommodation outside, not necessarily because we don't love the country again, but we have to, you know, to do this and see whether there could be a pressure group that will come from this outside to make the necessary change that we need to make. Initially, before you came in, I said from my experience, because I spent all my life back there and just came 2 years ago. From my experience, I have seen that some of these big party players, what they do is to encourage this breaking of the electorate and smart people into different parties. So what happens is we have one smart person in YPP, one smart person in other smaller parties. You can imagine there was a Zenith Labour Party, ZLP, because of some little disagreement in LP. He went and put Zenith to his own and it became ZLP. So what will happen is they will encourage all of these small parties.
No, you are telling us. I don't understand, sir. Do you have a question, or you only have just 1 minute to do this?
Okay. So the question I'm asking is, my brother, has there been any effort, to modernize or reorganize the electoral system to help us not to fall back into what happened in 2023? Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Eck, first of all, I'd like to say that I understand the concerns. And in fact, the questions you didn't finish were for me concerns. The truth is this. The political actors in Edo State currently believe that people like me are out to be commercialized. There is this school of thought that, oh, that young boy, well, yeah, he's just making noise. Don't worry, when the time is right, when you settle him, he will, just cascade in and collapse his structure and settle and give it to one of us. This is a school of thought. And of course, because of the political trajectory, this is not a school of thought that it's out of place. There are people who are very rotational in being contestants in governorship elections in Edo State. A particular person who has been contesting these elections since time immemorial, and there are groups of people that I know that are contesting these elections. Sadly, I find myself in this spot where there has to be some sort of a credibility question mark as to whether or not we are to be co-opted or to be bought over as time will go. Well, the truth is, there is very little I will have to put up in defense because I cannot be a judge in my own court. But I have said to myself that at 40, I would rather have my voice out there and hope that what happened in the 2023 presidential election happens. As a matter of truth, it is what I'm leveraging on that let me ingest the people with a working manifesto. Let me, for the first time, change the trajectories of elections in Edo State because ab initio, it's invectives and tantrums. When you see them mount the podium after they've used money to gather young people, the next thing is insults. Pastor for daytime, cultism by night, pour acid. There has been no meaningful engagements for the past 16 years. There has been no real lot of plans that people can listen to and judge on the basis of these plans. Should I vote or not vote for? There has been no sensible engagement. And I perceive that it's about to repeat itself again because there has been some awkward selections within the ruling party, the big parties just now. There is a missile that they said there's an Apako missile they launched from one party that has refused to launch. And a lot of persons are beginning to ascribe it to lack of momentum. And I said it's lack of cerebral momentum. When you do not have vision to share, you resort to sharing money. And of course, the ruling party in my state has a candidate who, by virtue of his relationship with his godfather, the governor of Edo State, is a candidature that Edos have started rejecting. And then again, those have also learned that there is no room for an external stranger, because when the erosion comes, these guys will leave us inside this erosion. When in the last administration, which of course ending by November, some of us have made arguments before that the governor will only work with those that are available to him. And of course, it happened. As funny as it may sound, the last Alagodao summit that was chaired by the current gubernatorial candidate of the PDP, in person of Aswe Godalo, the contract for food was contracted to chef from Lagos. The food were brought down from Lagos and they started microwaving because some started getting bad. The compare of the day, the MC of the day, was MC on Broken Pencil from Lagos, when we have young men who have distinguished themselves with the microphone here in Edo State. There are microphone Talibans here in Edo State. And I feel like if you couldn't even patronize this sort of craft, then it means that contracts and purchases and procurement that should have been internalized to grow their own business and engagement have also been taken outside. And so the outsider factor is also there. But you see, for us at the Young Progressives Party, we recognize that there are certain unarguable realities with our leadership space just now. A situation wherein it is only Peter Obi's emergence in the Labour Party of last presidential election that caused a voter revolution of some sort, a situation that bettered the obedient movement. And I've always said when I was in Labour Party before I jumped that ship, that the obedience of Labour, of just now supporting Peter Obi, are not ascribed to any political party. They are not partisan. They are just the disenchanted Nigerians who got tired of the ruling parties and the big parties and they wanted something for a change. And I've always said and maintained also that the only elections that INEC can mutilate is the election wherein the voter margin is close. If we are able to throng out 1 million voters, which has never happened in the history of Edo State, if we're able to ignite the passion in the hearts of those 20, 30, 40-year-old people whose lives are currently wasting away, if we're able to ignite that passion, if we're able to sell our manifesto to the hearts of the voter, that way to not be the people versus INEC. On the basis of that shared hopes, we are not deterred by the presence of the political gladiators, or let us use the word here, the experienced politicians. But because it has been proven that what they do with their experience is to come into government space to fleece the people of their commonwealth and steal more money. Instead, we want to rely on passion, dedication, service, ideas, and the willingness to have it implemented. I mean, till tomorrow, people still Christian some of the best and laudable performances of past governors to the likes of Samuel Ogbemudia of blessed memory. How old was he? 33. How old was Gowon? 35. How old was Chitoni Naoro? In his 30s. But the political talks of today have become Methuselahs and pensioners in the scheme of our leadership space. And as such, the average 30, 40-year-old young boy and girl today is only hustling with his or WhatsApp or busy smoking cannabis in the street because their fathers are still telling them what to do. Their fathers are still calling the shots. When ideas are supposed to be running governance, their fathers are still using old archaic methods to fleece them of their wealth. We have not had a sigh of relief. We have not had people with real gifts come into government space and cause the needed change that we all want and yearn for. Until that happens, they will come into government space, they will buy the space, they will come into the space, they will borrow in our names and on our behalf, and they will look same, and the story remains the same.
Wow. All right. I can see the passion right there, but still, let's move on. Thank you very much, Mr. Paul. And let me come to Mr. Jonathan. Mr. Jonathan, please unmute yourself where you join us from. Good evening to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Elvis. I greet all the panelists, and I welcome you, Mr. Paul. Thanks for taking the time to join us today here on Naija Watch. My name is Jonathan, Kingsley Jonathan. I'm calling from. I'm part of this panel from British Columbia in Canada. Once again, welcome. You know, at the end of the day, for me, it is, and for thousands and most likely millions of those citizens, it is what matters to them at the end of the day is good governance. That is, in the final analysis, that's what matters. So do you have an idea, you have a sense of what the current debt or the IGR of Edo State is? Both of them, the current debt level and the current IGR level of Edo State, what it is. And that's my first question. My second question is it will go with some assumption. I want to assume that you are deeply aware based on what you have said. So my assumption, I want to believe it will be right to a large extent, that you are deeply aware of the current myriad of economic and social problems that Edo State is facing right now. I also want to assume that your intention to run as governor of Edo State does not or did not come up 2 months or 4 months ago. You have this intention, perhaps for months or years. Let me round up with my question. Thank you. You have all this in mind. So given all of these assumptions, who are those like-minded individuals as of today that you have identified that they are capable enough to work with in Edo State, both within Edo State and in diaspora? Who are those people that you have identified as like-minded, like yourself, as robust as you are? I want to say, at least for the few moments that I've listened to you, who are those like-minded individuals like yourself within Edo State and in the diaspora that you have identified today that you are comfortable with to work with you?
Okay, Mr. Jonathan, thank you so much for the question. First of all, the National Debt Bureau statistics as of 2023 November had it that Edo was indebted to the tune of about 197 billion naira. Currently, I don't have the current statistics because I have not pulled that database as of this year. Then as for IGR, Edo State government has self-gloated 2 months ago that they have raised the IGR of Edo State to $26 million monthly. And the question that people like us have always asked is this in paper or in reality? Because we do not see the effect of this rambunctious claim on ground. Edo State is not a state where I will have to start gloating. SARS, if you have your relations here, call them, ask them the state of things. They will tell you, first of all, that this administration had managed a poor reputation for herself. Because in the wake of the last governorship election, we had the sentiments of Adanso Shomole, quote and unquote, oppressing this governor, rolled him into power for the second term. The people had a lot of expectation. And of course, they had used the media and money to package him as the technocrats. And I have not seen any novel idea that I could say will serve the people for another 20 years, generating wealth for them. I can beat my chest to it. Now, so there are some laudable stripes, nonetheless. Of course, like Oliver Twist, is never enough. You know, there are some good permutations that have not gotten proper accentuations and implementations. They exist in paper. And then there are some steps that they've taken. But I cannot even score these steps up to 40%. And I'm just being realistic here. I'm not trying to run down any person because I'm on a race. As a matter of truth, I'm too inconsequential in the scheme of things comparing to him and his class just now. But I have to speak the truth because the truth is, if you speak the truth, you die. If you do not speak the truth, you die. So I'd rather just speak the truth and die if possible. On ground, our people are plagued by poverty. The Human Capital Development Index of Edo is almost zero. There is nothing we can ascribe that Edo for the past 7 years has deliberately created millionaires. There are policy programs you can accentuate just now that people with the economic sense will dive into, and then you will naturally use that to create micro millionaires at 1 or 2 sundry times. There are projects you will do just now that will be creating both primary and secondary utility, providing employment at varying ends, because one stone kills several birds. You know, there are projects that we know that if we put on ground today, it will live the next 20 years and will have both primary and secondary viability, wherein the economic potential that lies within becomes innumerable. I have not seen such on ground. All I see is the repairs of certain roads that often get bad and don't stay up to 6 months. All I saw was the renovation of the secretariat at Plum House. I don't know how that actually makes my life better as a person. I have not seen direct policy programs. So on the part of IGRO and the indebtedness of the state government of Edo currently is somewhat enshrouded in secrecy. There are no public documents that reflects the extent to which Edo State government is culpable or liable in any investment forum. When they tell you that there is a partnership going on between the state and private investors, of course, a PPP structure subsists and gets better, but you will never see on public domain what Edo is putting out and what Edo is getting in return. So they have left all of us confounded with certain reality that the best of what we can know as far as our financial life goes is shrouded in secrecy. There is no public documentation. There is no monthly divulging of IGRO. There is no divulging of government's involvement in deals and engagement just now. So on IGRO and on the indebtedness, I think it's something that both you and I will still keep asking and asking till tomorrow. Then you mentioned something that is quite striking. Who are the like minds in Edo and in diaspora? By God's grace, I believe that question is a futuristic one. And if you become governor just now, who are those persons you can work with to rejig Edo State? First of all, sir, I do not keep a large circle of nuisance. I have a large circle of brainiacs and people.
Sorry, sir. Not just if you become governor, as of today or during the course of the campaign.
Yes. I was going to get there too. My team and I have been profiling solutions to problems since 2005. In 2005, I formed an organization called the Capital Intelligence Nigeria. The essence of the Capital Intelligence Nigeria was to identify problems, proper solutions, and make money from it. That was frankly the true essence of the Capital Intelligence Nigeria. In our search, then, we had come across a young man who was converting steam engine to electricity generation and was using to charge his cell phone. We had met a lot of other younger and smarter minds who were at sundry locations into innovative ideas, and all they needed was either private investors or government to drive their ideas to fruition. Now, from the Capital Intelligence, we have lost one to death. The good number of us are actually the ones championing this campaign. The likes of Adumaza Akpeji, the likes of Eromosele, Onosetale, we have been working since we were younger, right from the days of our days in University of Benin. So there are people that I know are gifted with the cerebral fortitude to address and pry into issues and come up with staggering ideas or concepts that could be ruminated, of course expanded and subjected to empirical reasoning, and of course you can float it anywhere in the world. I, for one, designed a software without studying microbiology, and my software started churning monies and employing people. I don't have compulsion or fear that there are mentally resourceful people even lying the length and breadth outside my immediate team of very smart eggheads. As far as that goes too, I also propose to have a direct relationship with the diaspora community. Now, by God's grace, a vast majority of you in the diaspora left this country because the promises were not being delivered. And of course, you were tired of the abysmal failure and how government was not responsive to what development ought to be. And because you have left the shores of this country and this state, you have kept a financial independence for yourself. But I put it to you that the vast majority of you still want to probably retire home. I heard of a man who I had a meeting in diaspora with some last week, who told me that he's building a hospital and intends to retire back home, but he's afraid of the insecurity situation. But however, he's already building the hospital and intends to retire back home. All of these are resources that any smart government can tap into. If you create a diaspora commission, for example, if you create an investment opportunity for people in diaspora to own portions of the economic viability that you are proposing just now, you have further drag them into this country's involvement as far as progressive and productive thinking goes. Because when you begin to get into such formulated conceptual kind of leadership of government, you too be coming with a lot of staggering ideas as well. And to that effect, I propose to have a directorate of common sense. In the directorate of common sense that I have designed in my template for engagement, we are to have people who can assess government from just simple right up to a particular directorate on the web platform. If you have any ideas that can solve problems, and of course, any ideas that solve problems should be able to create wealth. If you have any ideas that solve problems and create wealth, the directorate that I'm coming up with, it is just a question of you write to that directorate. And the directorate is comprising of people who have the mental fortitude to expand on what you're thinking. And if your thoughts can create economic viability, you become a shareholder, a situation where government partners directly with you. And whether we like it or not, that sort of opened governance, that sort of expands the thought process of what a human capacity could be in terms of indulgence in any style of governance. So when you create that sort of matrix, a lot of people will have their say in such governance.
All right, Mr. Paul, thank you very much. I appreciate your response to that question. All right, guys, don't worry, it's going to get to everyone. Let's take it easy. Honorable Sam, you're the next, then we'll come to ED. Honorable Sam, please, I'd like you to talk to us. Good evening to you, sir. Please, where you join us from and your question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Naija. Thank you, panelists. I appreciate you all, and I want to salute the courage of Mr. Paul Okungbowa for coming to this place to talk to us about your aspirations. I salute you very well. I want to begin by one of your statements you made, that you are not a politician. Sometimes when I hear people talking about that, I'm not that pleased. Say you are not a politician. I begin to wonder, is it that they don't understand the meaning of politician? For emphasis, is politician is somebody that is occupying a political position or vying for a political position. If somebody that is vying to becoming the governor of Edo State saying it's not a politician, I begin to wonder, that's a wrong usage, because you are moving from one ward, campaigning, moving from one local government to another, going to the ward. If you now say you are not a politician, is it that young lady who is in your ward, in your party, that is not a politician? So I don't like people saying that you say that they are not politicians, they are technocrats. I don't subscribe to it. The moment you come into politics, you are not a carrying member of a political party that makes you a politician. So I won't say that. I want to ask questions. Number one, I'm asking question. Given looking at the current economic challenge facing Nigeria, and in Edo State in particular, what specific strategy and policy do you intend to implement to attract investment, leading to increase in the revenue profile of Edo State? Few minutes ago, you made mention that the revenue profile of Edo State is now $26 billion. You know, the present administration, if you go to the revenue house, you see there, the facts are there. They met it at 10 billion, and it has been moved from $10 billion to $10 million to 26. So what plans do you intend to implement if you are elected as the governor, and how do you intend to create sustainable job opportunity for the youth and residents of the state, not just only Edo State indigene, all residents of the state? Number two, you know, another major problem we have in Nigeria now is corruption. Corruption has become persistent issue in Nigeria, you know. Then what measure do you intend to put in place to ensure transparency, accountability, and good governance in your administration? And how will you handle cases of corruption within your government if elected into government?
Thank you, Honorable Sam. Thank you, sir. Mr. Paul, you can take that, sir.
Thank you very much for that question, Honorable Sam. The truth is I'm still going to repeat myself. I'm not a politician. And I'm not sorry for that statement, sir. And I have my reasons. First of all, those in the ecclesiastical community can literally tell you today that for the few ones who have the calling of God upon their lives, they become ashamed to ascribe to themselves in certain public environments the tag pastor because of how the community has been bastardized. Today, you literally have pastors worse than even the congregation that they lead. So there are some persons who could tell you today that they are not comfortable answering the tag pastor. Doesn't necessarily mean they don't have the calling upon their life. And the very attempt to say, I don't want to be addressed publicly as a pastor, doesn't stop you from the functions and duty. You will naturally now have to live by their fruits. When the Bible says, by their fruit we shall know them, some people would better prefer that you ask them, the way you are acting, are you a pastor? The person will now say, yes, I am a pastor. You have advertised without actually advertising. So when I say I'm not a politician, the Nigerian and the Edo State politician is a criminal, is a crook, is a cultist. They literally run the length and breadth of everything in a mafia style. The politician today have no conscience. The politician today doesn't know that the woman who died yesterday from fair care, that the blood is on his hands. So permit me, Mr. Honorable Sam, to still keep telling you that I'm not a politician. If that costs me an election, I am not afraid to own up to whatever I have said. I have said it countlessly that I'm not a politician. I found myself in a peculiar spot where the only vehicle that can take me to a place to address the issues I intend to address is via politics. But I've refused to be known as a politician. I'm rather comfortable not to be of it, but to be around it. So if I say I'm not a politician, doesn't exercise the capacity just now that I do not take into cognizance that I'm in a political atmosphere. Of course, I'm in a political atmosphere. If I say I'm not a politician, it simply means that I decry the style of leadership and I decry the style of politics. Today, you vote in a man who has prided himself as a technocrat. The next day, they use thugs to dismember people. As I speak to you, I'm sure you're not even aware that the level of condescending is so bad that they wouldn't even allow opposition paste billboard. For me, these are politics, and they call it game. Some people tell me politics is a game. Are you ready for the game? I tell them I'm not a politician. I'm not ready for the games. For those who have been playing the games over the years, I've been playing with the lives of people. I'm not coming to come and play with the lives of the people. I'm coming to serve, and I'm afraid to play with the lives of the people. If there is anything I don't want to find myself in, is at the end of this all that I find myself in hell. I'm very comfortable and convenient with my thought as a person. So when I say I'm not a politician, Honorable Sam, that's my foundation.
Mr. Paul, before you continue with the other questions, I need to applaud you for the response you just responded to. You are not a politician.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, Honorable Sam has asked the question. He said, how do you intend to increase the IGRO from $10 million, which is now in public domain, to 20, that they've raised it to $26 million? Let me start by saying there's a very wealthy man in this race. Diaspora has asked him this question. He dodged it. He did not answer. And somehow, some people are clapping for him, and they feel like he's a messiah of some sort. Sir, if I have the fortitude of time, all you will hear is what this young man has crafted and has communicated to authorities, including the sitting governor of Edo State, the Oba of Benin, Chief Gabriel Osawa-Ogbenedio himself as well. Wherein Chief Gabriel Osawa-Ogbenedio not only prayed for me too, he gave me his property in Airport Road and said, with all of these ideas you carry, to be an abysmal failure for hunger to cripple you, what do you want from me first before you get to wherever you are going to? And I said, if you can give me a space to do business. He gave me a property opposite Glass House in Airport Road. For 7 years, I didn't pay rent. And I believe that I didn't go there to carry any form of sentiment. I made sense to him. Professor Osaga is a vice chancellor of a university. He and I had a meeting one time where I gave him very succinctly economic steps that can actually better the lives of the people. One of those economic steps that can better the lives of the people, sir, is what I said earlier on agriculture. I don't know the day we'll have that time. If it's a 1 hour, a 2 hours discussion, so that I will not probably play to you videos of my engagement when the Agri Development Program invited me to come and give a public lecture on how to use agriculture to sustain wealth. So there is a lot of wealth in that aspect that I have documented in my own way, not the popular agriculture way that they've been doing over the years. And all of this translates to employability, both primary and secondary utility, because when you copiously produce primarily, there is need for secondary secondary utility, which is processing because of nearness to sites of production, which will cut down on the cost of transportation and the over 3 billion naira spoilage from farm to markets that we record every month across Nigeria. On agriculture alone, there is a lot of economic revamp tool that we could exploit there. Another thing that I have always said is education. We can make money from education. I just had a meeting with some diasporans earlier because I wasn't feeling too well, but I just tried to honor their invitation. And I proved it to them that because the Nigerian situation oppressed the West African curriculum, I am willing to do what I did in the course of the coronavirus, wherein families started paying teachers in Edo State here to export intellectual enterprise. But in this situation, I've been able to successfully put together on a manifesto video, wherein as time will go on, people will go and watch and listen to how I said it to be done and what I did before in the course of the corona, that I can transport intellectual enterprise and export and import hard currency from intellectual enterprise. You see, when you tell me minimum wage of 70,000, I laugh in the face of defeat because we know we can do more. We know that the wealth in this world is no longer a fish to a cake method. This is transcend. On the IT world alone, I currently run a faculty of digital economy. If you come to a property at Okungbowa, I have 310 laptops in that property. I call it the Faculty of Entrepreneurs, where I've been teaching young people how to make wealth on the internet space without fraud. There are 1,001 ways government can get intentional. So they even know that there are some kids here, their parents write them up because they love to play games, computer games. I tell such parents, there are licensed computer games that state governments should go for. And they turn these sort of kids to geeks in the world of gaming. If we are looking at cybernetics and the web matrix and the entirety that goes in on coding, and even down to other aspects of it like dropshipping, even down to content creation and all that, I have said a government such as our government will engage these young people and create so much wealth out of them. Now, let me also take you back to numbers that I said earlier. And you will start asking yourself, this thing this young boy is saying, can they actually now work in government space? Because the answer to the question is yes. Nigeria is gloated to have 220 million in population, according to the last population census count, which for me was an abysmal shortfall from the real statistics. I believe Nigeria is heading for 350 million, if not 400 million, because when that population was conducted, I wasn't counted, and I hadn't given birth to my 4 kids, so they weren't counted. And my 4 kids, as we speak just now, any producer who has services or goods that they use is already taking revenue from me. And so the spread of economic viability that can leverage on population are in different array forms. One of those is, let's narrow down to what I call the blood money. You know, a State government can get billions of naira from just the monthly blood flow of women. And I said to myself, I did a design. I said, of the population of Nigeria, let us say that 60 million is the size of women that still menstruate. You and I know that's a shortfall in terms of the actual statistic. But let us say 60 million. 60 million, sir. Who is tapping into that revenue? South African companies mostly. They are doing serious business on our women, on our population. How about a state government that gets intentional and say that, and like I said, I called to my friends in the Pharmaceutical Council and I asked them, what will it take to beat the existing sanitary pads in our market? Because I have an idea. And they asked me, what is your idea? I said, the major role of the sanitary pads is to provide the suction effect and, of course, the comfort in the suction effect. I said, that idea or technology is not restricted to any company or any person. It is an idea that any person can replicate and perhaps improve on. And like as a state government, how about, instead of me telling them so and so and so hub, so and so hub, how about the re-hubs that will start producing money immediately? And I'm like, how about you guys give me a sanitary pad that has such suction effect and power as well, comfortable as well, but the thin layer, before it is placed directly on the vagina, that thin layer can be created to be therapeutic. A situation where it has soothing effects, cooling effects, and then can fight bacterial and fungal infections from the sanitary period. So while you are trying to have a suction effect, you can also have a therapeutic approach to sanitary pad. And the guys were like, this is sound. The question I want to ask is this. Do you think if such was in practice now, that people will still keep buying the South African made products? They may want to revert to buying so. So don't you see that naturally there is wealth lying, but you don't have the wisdom to know that this is wealth wasting away? Don't you also see the viability of the economy that itself will present? Don't you also see the area of jobs that itself will also present? Because as far as life goes, it's not something that is out of the organic space to imagine. It is something that is practicable, doable, and realistic. That in itself, sir, can provide revenue, can increase the GDP of the state, because we can market this across West African countries and African countries and the 36 of Nigeria. So long as we have a difference in the commodity spread just now. I'm like, a state government can have a private-public partnership deal here and retain so much wealth in the process. Now, how about this other one, sir? The boat that is also a South African company. As of yesterday, my inquiries was that they were charging 23% per ride. So for any time you book a ride in Nigeria, 26% goes to boat. And of course, I believe that boat also settles government or local government or state government. And I said to myself, why would you leave this to a foreign enterprise when you are deprived of revenue and you say you are looking for revenue? If your eyes is not only fixated on IGR and federal allocation that you are masturbating, why don't you think out the box? Thinking outside the box was, I built an application called Floki for you to book a ride. But the good thing is, the reason why you keep booking this ride and even abdicate the use of boats is I have put together eggheads, IT guys, to build something much more of utility and viability for me that will beat these existing applications. And I'm like, it's not like people are buying diesel to fuel this app. It is people and their data. So which means this thing is free money. Why can't the state tap into it, sir? Because if the state was to build such an app, for example, some citizens begin to see it as their duty to patronize so they can increase the revenue of the state, so the state can do more if they trust those in leadership space that they will indeed actually use the wealth created to do more. But very importantly, I tied my Floki transport application to a health insurance scheme, wherein for every ride you book, you are entitled to free health care. And this I have also extended across all taxpayers, because if a man was to be working and paying tax, imagine, for example, the drivers who pay tax daily. Imagine, for example, the boat riders who do not just pay tax daily, but for every ride that is booked, they pay tax. But these guys don't fall sick daily. How about if you have a health cover, where portions of this tax is saved up in a stack account?
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Because of time, sir. Because of time, I think we should call on the next person. I can see the passion.
Please, Mr. Elvis, please.
You can't respond.
No, I asked another question. There's the other question he didn't answer on the issue of corruption. That is very, very important. Most of those things he said now is very, very good when implemented. But the major challenge we have in Nigeria is corruption. So
now, let me get on that, Squeezer. Let me really get on Honorable Sam so we manage the time. Now, on the issue of corruption, like I said earlier, it takes two to tango. I'm a school administrator and a tutorial giant. By God's grace, I own the biggest tutorial center as far as this country goes. It's something I built when I was from the age of 20. And my record is in public domain, sir. And even I will quote 3 commissioners of education. Barrister Benusio Morotioma under Adams Leo Shomole. Barrister Washington Osifo. And the current commissioner of education, Ms. Joan of Yanwe. These 3 commissioners are living proof that I have written several propositions on how to end examination malpractice in Edo State. But the irony to this is that as a pre-university tutorial owner who gets more than 10,000 students every year, if I was to conduct WAEC malpractice, I will be buying houses every year in Lekki. But instead, these commissioners are the proof that I have always fought battles against examination malpractice. The popular radio program on Radio Manhattan is also my proof that for years, more than 10 years, I've been castigating and preaching against examination malpractice. Sir, the Bible said if you are faithful in a little, be faithful in a lot. A young man who should have greed and avarice for wealth, who knows naturally that the population that he can adjust now is already secondary source of wealth if he was to indulge in malpractice. I'm not saying, go put my information out there, sir. The question is, does this boy do examination malpractice? No, I do not. The real reason is my conscience couldn't carry it. It is not that I don't like money, but my conscience couldn't carry the one that I know I'm destroying the lives of people. So naturally, my history can tell you that this one is not willing to be corrupt. And that is why I said to myself, digitalize the operations of government. Put government on an e-governance structure. Let every form of procurement from ministries and parastatals be run in a government portal. Let receipting be subject to auditing. Not just the Auditor General who will take his own share, clean his mouth and enter out, but let the public have an eye on the revenues generated and the budget and the project implementation. If you say you are not corrupt, you will not have any fear putting such information out there. And I said that if you make me a governor today, I will sign and transmit an executive order for local government financial autonomy to be granted, because I have demonstrated that my interest is to use the tag of the state to create wealth for the state and not to fleece the people of their resources. If I direct the IGRO of the local government back to local government, sir, that way, because local government men and women do not have immunity that is covering governors and their deputies, you will say that because I have refused to steal, those local government cannot steal, because at that point in time, you'll be publishing all they get every month. And then you'll be directing NGOs that are not in government payroll, because most of the NGOs and voices in the door today are on government payroll. you will be directing conscientious mind. And even you in diaspora will be pulling records and asking questions. When we do this, sir, and I have said, if I leave government, I'm not going to leave government a poor person, but not at the expense of the people. So if I document what I know, it's worth on its own. The name former governor can open some sophisticated doors that I will still go and solve problems, I will go and consult for and get paid for consultation. I'm already getting paid for consultation by some people. But I feel like these old guys that are running government as though it's their pride of place or their right. These guys don't have ideas.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Because of time, we have lots of people. We just brought new people in. I really wanted to get to everyone, and we don't want to keep you here for so long as well. So let me move on to ED. ED, thanks for your patience, sir. Please tell us where you joined us from, and just go straight to the point on your questions.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Elvis. My name is Ed. I'm actually joining from Raleigh, North Carolina in the United States. So, Mr. Paul, I know you might not remember me, but we've made acquaintance sometime in the past. And as is evidence, here you have a way with words. I can remember first hearing the word cut yourself some slack from you in OVBOKHAN. I can attest to the fact that you're homegrown. You've been here. I remember you in Uniben. And my question is actually related to something you said earlier about actually reaching out to different prominent figures in the States to see how you can engage youth. I can testify to that because sometime around the year 2010, myself, you, your brother, and if you remember, Ituan Yamu.
Yeah.
And a few other folks were meeting regularly in OVBOKHAN to actually address.
It's so wonderful to meet a live witness on air. I'm very, very happy to hear from you, my friend.
Yeah, so, and I know at that time, you know, I just came from youth service. We're just trying to do a lot of things then. But you and your brother Ituan were really spearheading that movement then.
I remember.
All right.
No, I'm asking a question related to this, Mr. Elvis. So please let me quickly land. Yeah, along the way, I got a job. I think a few other people got jobs. And then the next thing I saw about you was guerrilla lectures. So I want to know, in the spirit of being worthy stewards of little, as you said earlier, he who is faithful in little will be faithful in more. That was something you were doing with a mind to help the Edo youth, right? And if I were going to assess your stewardship, it's going to be based on that little initiative that you started that I'm aware of at that time. So what became of it? I'm asking you to give stewardship of that effort to us.
First of all, I'm so glad to have somebody who knows me so well. Someone I've actually been in the field of trying to get things better for people with. I'm honored to have this opportunity with you, my brother. I'm glad that you have made it out of this obscurity, and now you are now a support belt to, you know, give hope to others. Well, I'm still on it, sir. As a matter of truth, I don't give up on things when I start them. If you must know, Gorilla Brains, as of today, and has cascaded into a total of 26 centers across the 18 local governments of Edo State from one location. And if you must also know, we have built permanent sites for some of the locations. If you must also know, Gorilla Brains has transcended into Cavalry Academy, which is now also employing a lot of persons. As of today, I have a total of 518 staff network, courtesy that little programs that we started then. If you must also know, as of today, we've been able to turn that into a restaurant and a lounge. And at the same time, we've been able to go into advertising. We have some billboards advertising spread across the city. If you must also know, we've also been able to open laundromats, industrial cleaning and home services across 11 locations in the city. At the same time, we have also been able to start computer school program, IT programs across 6 locations, and one very big one opposite University of Benin, Okungbowa campus. We've also been able to go into programs that can give us daily source of revenue, such as car wash. We have some car wash across the city now. And all of this is to say, like I said earlier, I'm not a big name, but you see the little that has been given to me. And mind you, if I must remind you too, that I started with 5,000 naira given to me as a borrow by Professor Mrs. Ufenyi of Animal and Environmental Biology. She was the HOD then. It is that 5,000 naira mustard seed that has given us the impetus today that we can at least formulate a voice to keep engaging our people for posterity engagement.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Paul. Okay, let me ask Mr. AD first. Mr. AD, are you confirming with us that you attended Obakenzwa primary school?
No. We were actually meeting. He was the one. We were holding meetings then.
Okay.
When I just came from youth service. We're trying to do things to engage Edo youth.
We were trying to fight poverty.
Okay. But even you, Mr. Paul, you didn't attend Obakenzwa primary school, right?
No, I attended the Viore primary school.
So it's Obakenzwa Cultural Center.
It was the cultural center we're holding our meetings.
Okay, now I get it. Okay. I wanted to take questions to that area, but meanwhile, let's move on. I appreciate every one of you. Thank you very much, Mr. AD. Okay, let me come to the next person, which is Oga CM. Mr. CM, please tell us. We still can't hear you, sir. We still can't hear you, Oga CM. I told you should have, tested your mic earlier on before this time. We can't hear you at all. Nobody can hear you, and you are muted. While you are sorting that out, let us quickly move on to the next person. Mr. Odua,
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Naija Wash, all the panelists, commenters, listeners, and viewers.
No,
welcome, Mr.
Odua.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Paul.
Good evening, sir.
You are welcome to the show. Me, I don't like grammar because I love your enthusiastic, but I'm just straight to the question. In court, they said, are you guilty or not guilty? They don't need explanation. They say, I'm coming. They say yes or no. That is guilty or not guilty. So that is it. Because when our brother asked of how are you going to fight corruption, you started beating. For me, Okbila Smith factory, the Smith is what God used to bless those state people. Before it was Midwest. When our brother, they now separate our brother from us, now become Edo State. And the former caretaker, which they call governor, who came to the position, according to information, whether he sold it out or he leased it out, we don't really know. And with those, and God bless us with resources, which we will have put money together and make use of it and benefit from it. And we can even use it to develop our land. We can use it to tie some road. Can use it to do different things like Uniben need under bypass underground so that people can be crossing. We can use such way to do it. Now, since it has been sold, how are you going to bring it back for Edo people? Then the second one is Bender Beauty. Bender Beauty is no longer portion. Then what will you like to put there so that Edo people can work and make money? And how are you going to do it? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Odua. Thank you. Mr. Paul, quickly.
Sir, first of all, you agree with me that if you do not enter into a house, you may not understand the way the furnitures are placed in the house. You see, I've declared before now that most of the operations in government are shredded with secrecy. There is hardly public documentation for people to make references to. So until I sit in an office given to me by God and the people, I may not be able to tell you the extent to which the privatization of the Okbila cement factory went. But I can tell you literally that there are some big cement producers in this country who have shown interest in our politics, and of course they sponsor candidates who probably will emerge and do their bidding. And so for me, it is time the people sponsor an ordinary person who will look into the legitimacy of whatever it is sale that happened. You see, until Alex Oti of Abia State. The people of Abia did not know that Ikpeazu almost finished them. Very recently, Simfubara has started exposing the deeds of Nyesom Wike. And this is to tell you that when you have the establishments, put one of them in office, you will never even know how what happened has happened. There will be no accountability. You will never know. All you and I will keep doing as the ordinary people is to keep opening the unabating books of lamentation. And when you said that I was not direct with the question of how do I tackle corruption, I put it out there, sir. I actually answered you succinctly. If you run a government and e-government, where both procurement and government contracts and disbursement are captured on a data that can be referenced, it is a sound step to curb corruption. That way, to not be an office changing hands or another office changing hands. It's a sound way. And I also said, curbing corruption means if I am willing to give up local government financial autonomy, because there is no immunity at local government level, there will be the Auditor General's office today who does not give us any form of audit can actually be taxed by anti-graft agents and meaning those, because I will not hide the records of what goes to each of the local governments on a monthly basis. That's a sound way to actually curb corruption, sir. Curbing corruption means holding people accountable. If I don't steal, then you cannot steal under me and go scot-free. While I may not be able to, per time, gauge the quality of humans who come to office to join you and do not be moved by the greed of the office, but I should be ready to make people accountable for whatever it is they do in government space. Because as a private business owner, one with more than 500 staff strength, you should know naturally that if there was no process of checkmate and accountability within my private businesses, they would have crumbled. And like I said, I've grew from 5,000 given to me as gift. With prudence, I've been able to prove to you that even as little as what we do for a living is, we have proven results. My question is this: amidst the lean resources that I got, which is today, has created jobs for more than 500 persons. The question is, what has those in government space been doing with the billions that they borrow? Because I got 5,000 naira as borrow. And today, I'm telling you the number of persons working. I'm telling you the number of enterprises that has sprout up from due diligence and prudence and implementation of that little mustard seed. My big question is now, what has been happening to the billions that they borrow? If they have the sense and wisdom that we carry by God's grace, today maybe we'll not be screaming there is no money in Edo State, because the truth is the real valuable wealth is in human capital. It's how you're able to channel little resources and create copious results with them.
Okay, Mr. Paul, how will you revive Okbela's myth?
How will I?
Yes. If you become
sir,
the governor.
First of all, sir, if the people decide to fund my campaign and put me in office, my allegiance will not be to Dangote or Boa Cement. But I can tell you, they have candidate they are sponsoring just now as we speak. So if I get there on the backs of the people and by the will of God, the first thing is to check the documents of engagement, because there is nothing else I'm going to say to you. What is the extent of Edo State involvement or engagement with the cement factory? If the cement factory was sold, was it sold via due process, or was it friends of friends who went to go and hide their name inside the sale documentation, wherein they are not beneficiary from crippling the cement factory so that the private business cement factory can keep festering and having monopoly of sales? All of these are deals that happen in government space that you and I will not even know until we have somebody who is ready to do the right thing in that office. So if you say, what am I going to do with the cement factory? It's only natural that Edo State government should have their own cement and be selling to the 36 states. But until we get there to know the extent of culpability, it is hands tied. Those that are larger than us and bigger than us are tying our hands and fleecing us of our natural commonwealth.
All right. Mr. Paul, thanks for that response. Okay. Augustine. Okay, you are not ready. We can't still hear you, sir. You know, I don't know how you're going to sort that out. You might likely miss out today. But let me move on to the next person quickly. I'll come to Mama H.O. Mama H.O., please.
Augustine, why not log in with your phone? Why not log in with your phone then?
You know? Okay, let's move on. Thank you. Mama H.O., it's good to have you on the show, man. Good evening to you. Please tell us where you join us from and go ahead with your question, man. Thank you.
Good afternoon from my end, Mr. Paul, Mr. Elvis, members of the panelists and the audience. I've been listening
Thank you so much.
I've been listening to you keenly, and there are some specific words you used which makes sense to me. And you use the word empathy. Until we have empathy on our people, we will just go into office and we'll turn it to family business. My question is going to center on our youth, because that is my passion lies. And the street children and out of school children. And the government primary schools and secondary school in Edo State. Because when we talk about the primary schools and secondary schools, most of the primary and secondary school owned by the government are trapped for our children. Some of them, when rain falls, the children will be standing upon water and leaking roof. Some of them does not have desks, talk less of computer. Whereas in the global world, a child of 3 years in the Western world is already operating computer, laptop, and talk of it. I remember when I bought my first smartphone, because I was coming from the olden world. It was a child of 3 years that taught me how to do some things with my smartphone. And we have a lot of intelligent and smart children in Edo State. Majority of them attend public school. And your public schools in Edo State is nothing to talk about. What is your plan in that regard? And how do you plan to bring competent, well-trained teacher to take care of that piece? And what is your plan to take my children, as I always call them, out of the street, both in the villages and in the city? When you drive through Ring Road and all those Ikpobahe and Oba Market and all those areas, you will see those children on the street. That is not their destiny, sir. What is your plan for these people? Okay. When you talk about, you say something.
Okay.
And that makes me to know that you understand that there is wealth in the online space that are legit. And our youth can make dollar in the comfort of their home in Nigeria.
Yes, that's true.
Their problem is how to have access to electricity and how to have access to maybe laptops. What is your plan in this area of investment so that you can be able to direct them and take them out of occultism? Because majority of them are into that because of hopelessness. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, man. Let me quickly run through. First of all, I'm coming from a family. And as we know, family is the first point of knowledge. You gain and appreciate life from whoever you are taking as a mentor. My late mother was a collector of people. As a matter of truth, upon her death, before she died, she told my younger sister that the children that she had collected, that we should please not leave them stranded. And my mother would never collect people's children and put them in public schools. She would always put them in private schools. And as I speak, some of the children that she has collected are in secondary school. One is already in University of Benin, 300 level computer science. And this is for me something that is a passion of my late mother. She never sees people going through times and just leave them alone or walk away, but she was an advocate of education. In all that my late mother labored for, she ensured that all 6 of us were educated. And such legacy is something that I cannot take for granted. But I for one, have personally been touched by a street kid. About January, a day after my birthday, I had something I needed to check out opposite University of Benin, 19th Street. And there were these street kids who were just coming around asking me for money. Hey, brother, give me money, brother, give me money. I always have compassion on them because I don't know this. I don't know what the future holds for such kids. And so, among these kids that were asking me for money, I just jokingly said to them, I said, you are asking me for money you know whether me don't chop this money. Me never chop this money. So they all just abandoned me and walked away. So as I walked down that road, I noticed one of the little child was not chasing after me, about 6 or 7-year-old boy. And he came to me and he gave me 15 naira note in my hand. He said, you take this one, you go buy food. I'm not saying this because I'm contesting office. Like I said, I'm not a politician. I cried. I have so much compassion on him. So I asked him to take me to his mother. The mother was somewhere seated, waiting for him to go and hustle and bring money. I said, please let me adopt this boy. I want to give him education. I want to give him quality life. The woman refused. So what I do is that every day, I told this little boy to go to my car wash. Whenever he gets there, I told my secretary there, give him 1,000 naira every day. So at least ensure that he has food on his stomach. Some days ago, I saw him and I said, okay, let me take a broom to measure his leg. Let me get him footwears and clothes. And so, on the area of these children, I'm particularly ashamed that actually we have people in government, they just blow siren through and their eyes don't see this thing. Because the truth is this, when you put a big man in office, he only sees big things. His mind is obfuscated from the little things that counts. And I have a special desire in my heart that if God wills it, I become the governor of Edo State. Not only will there be no street kids, I will equip them with education, either formally or informally. I will ensure that when it comes to craftsmanship, if they are learning any particular thing, they'll be the best at it. It's something that I hold dear because of my late mother. And so on the quality of education, let me quickly run through that. Edo State currently has more than 3,000 government schools. Only 4 has science lab. Only 4. And I don't know the kind of SSC graduates they are producing from such schools now. Because kids who attend UPSS or Calvary Crown Academy or Igbenede Education Center are going to write the same WAEC and the same JAM with these kids in these government-owned schools. But the real sad thing that has actually greeted the schools in Edo is not necessarily the infrastructure only. It is that those who are passionate eggheads, people who are gifted with impartation, people who can teach, they've quit the teaching businesses and they've taken refuge in other businesses because the teaching business is no longer a means to an end. A vast majority of people who actually are passionate teachers don't teach anymore. I'm not saying this because I want to be held accountable for the things that I say. I'm a school owner and I'm also a tutorial owner. And I'm telling you from the point of reality that the very savvy minds have quit. Most have jackpot Others have taken to other ventures because of the low purchasing power occasioned with teaching. And I said to myself, until we can make the teaching environment wealthy, we may not be able to invite, after all, I'm not going to go and force them to come and take up teaching jobs. A vast majority of people you have teaching in government schools to do are those who submitted and passed exam or interviews, but they may not be passionate teachers. They may not be good communicators or those who know how to really impact. They may not be evolving teachers who evolve style and method of impartation. And so the real result is not the passing of exam, so to speak. It is that are these children consuming knowledge? In my own private operation as a school owner, I know the lot that I do to just keep good teachers, not talk of government's own establishment. And so there are some things that I did in the course of Corona that created wealth for my teachers. So much wealth for my teachers. So I intend to make it a state project wherein a teacher will have real wealth. And when I say real wealth, I do mean this with every fiber of my being. There are projects that I have done before. And other platforms where I've been interviewed, I've explained some of them. I've tested it. Mr. Thompson in Sokpa is in the US. He's one of those parents who paid to have this knowledge transmitted to his children in the US. Because I know there are smart people, and we just need to invite them back to the board. But we may also see that inviting a good number to the board. And that's why I intend to completely animate the curriculum of our education from basic education to senior secondary school. And when I do that and put it into an audio visual thing, I will code them and use solar panels to drive e-classes in rural environments and urban cities. I have built education into games. Subjects that are difficult like mathematics, I have built them into games like sword. You'll be playing game, you'll be solving problems with it. Then projectile in physics, I built projectile into a game. And I believe that when you put somebody who is saying, let ideas come to leadership in leadership space, there are people better than me. They too will feel enabled to come in with better ideas, more sophisticated and more refined ideas. Because what you have put in the office just now is an idea-driven government. If we have this, we should be able to impregnate our teaching curriculum and make it so robust that the process of learning will be energized. And I promise that by God's grace, people like me know exactly what to do already. If you consult me, I will give it to you privately too. People like me just know what to do. I'm not waiting to get into office to do that. I'm already practicing some of the things that I'm
Thank you.
discussing.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And thank you, Mama Esho, for your question. God bless you, man. Thanks for joining us today. Okay, let me come to give us a mandate. Give us a mandate, please, where you're joining us from, and go straight to your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hopefully you can hear me clearly. Good evening to you. My name is Oluwatos. I'm actually calling in from Texas. As you can see on my cap or hat, whichever one comes first, but I'm joining from Texas. Hopefully you guys can still hear me clearly. Well, questions. On the issue of agriculture, you said some things. I mean, maybe I would probably not go to that direction anymore because I don't think so. The question probably were answered to satisfaction, but let's leave that part. Now, when it comes to the issue of IGR, do you believe IGR taxing Edulite should be the only means to generate money for the state? And also, what will you do with the current government with all the debt they are leaving in the coffer of government today without seeing any project? And I tell you this, just some weeks ago, somebody told us on this platform that Edo State does not need bridge. Edo State need no bridge to connect cities. Now, on SMEs, if you look at the bridges, they can help the roads being built properly, they can help our SMEs. So on the issue of SMEs, what will you do to help open up those places and then improve the economy? That the current government, if they have found one thing of corruption, will you probe them? And if you are obedient why not support the idea of Mr. Peter Gregory Obi going with Barrister Ozaibo Olumide
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
First of all, sir, I don't know if you joined earlier, but on the issue of taxation as the only means of generating IGRO, I have dealt copiously with that. And I have said that taxation shouldn't be the only means of generating IGRO. And I have said, and I have provided some ways that I intend to. Part of my ways of generating wealth for the people is insecurity. There are a lot of models that I have devised on insecurity that can run in Nigerian homes and generate an average of 1 trillion naira every 12 months. You know, when I discussed copiously agriculture, when I was talking about the economic revolutionary ideas I discussed earlier, all of these are ways to bring in wealth into Edo State and not necessarily to rely on IGRO and federal allocation. And when you say, somebody said you don't need bridges in Edo, the traffic occasion from Saplero to Ubahi can be decongested by bridges. And in case the person doesn't know, the person should know that for every 1 hour you waste on hold up is some certain economic viability that you have also missed. And then again, you have not added value from a particular point to another point. You were stuck in one location. And the erosion that has ravaged Edo State just now is the station where in most of our cars are spoiled by erosion, especially in the metropolitan part of the city, even in the GRA, where some of us are now even asking questions that the 30 billion naira that was sourced from the ecological fund in the time of Adams Ali Oshomole, which was facilitated by this same sitting governor. We don't know where those water have been stormed into because we still see those waters in our roads. Now you see, as far as small, medium enterprise goes, these are the beam of any economic standpoint. Any economy that is not built, that is built on, let's say, the big industries only, may not necessarily be able to trickle wealth across board. SMEs still remain the beam upon which you can, a vehicle with which you can carry resources from one point to another. As far as SMEs goes, my full intention, if you've listened to some of the things I said earlier, maybe you can revisit these videos that they were saying, you will see that I'm very particular about wealth creation. And any person that is particular about wealth creation is also particular about small, medium enterprises. And we are looking at situations where we're not just making noise. If we create the wealth that we intend to create, government should have grants that can be plunged into businesses from people. Grants are not to be paid back, mind you. And when I say government should have grants, I'm very, very, very deliberate about that. I know exactly what I'm saying. Government should have a process of helping business to grow, either by mentoring or by consistent engagement with consultants whose jobs are to ensure that businesses that are started on the account of grants see it to economic Eldorado. And I believe that when we have a system where government is not only making available resources, but selecting projects to finance, and then putting the necessary machineries to ensure that this financing gets to the point of productivity. And if government is also to look intentionally into creating very robust aspects of the economy as well, you will see people begin to find secondary utility for the primary source that government is putting in place, either through private-public partnership or government direct investment. But I know in any part of the world, government does not necessarily do direct investment, so public partnership will still subsist in this regard. Like, for example, if you stay in an area where there is constant light and you don't have a job, but there's constant light, and the other area doesn't have constant light, it naturally can go into ice block production and sales. So there are a lot of things that I know that we can do as a government of young heads that can create some sort of fluidity in the economy, wherein other persons who have secondary utilities embedded in our structure of economic push will also find their pride of place. And all of this in the long run will just give us nothing but a state that is massively into production, because I have preached before now that the population of Nigeria is enough for any state to leverage on if you have goods or services to create the needed wealth from. On the issue of probe, I'm sure you mentioned something about the Labour candidates, and I did not get the full picture, but let me state clearly, sir. I do not have the fortitude to want to pry into a man's desire as it goes. He will sell his mandate to the people. And the only thing I know right now is that the labor world became too expensive for some dreamers. And so the dreamers left the labor world because the labor world was monetized and dollarized. So let us hope that those who have dollarized the process of the Labour Party will connect with the obedient, because the obedient saw this dollarization in APC and PDP and jumped ship following the narration of Peter Obi. And mind you, Peter Obi did not at any sundry time prove to us that in the years of being governor of Anambra State, that he had put some economic revitalization blueprint on ground, wherein today Anambra is making twice the size of our federal locations, courtesy what he had put on ground. You know, what Peter Obi proved to us in the course of campaign, but was that he was less corrupt. And there was this possible mantra that a new Nigeria could be bettered from a man who is less corrupt. And if he could walk away from corrupt tendencies while he was in government, Nigerians rallied on this because the other candidates were seeming like the NAFDAC certified very corrupt entities. So quote and unquote here. So I do not know if the man you made reference to can connect to the people, but I seriously doubt that, you know, because we are on ground here and we know exactly what's happening. But you see, I mentioned earlier that it only took the emergence of Alex Otti for the people of Abia State to know that Ikpeazu has been masturbating their commonwealth over this time. Because in governments, what you have is friends of friends. When they bring in their friends and they continue government around their circle of friends, the public will never know what is happening in the government space. All of a sudden, Simfubara is now exposing the financial recklessness of Yeson Wike because they have had quarrels. If there was no quarrel, the people of Rivers State will not even hear a word of what transpired. So we believe that if we come on board by God's grace, every past administration will answer to the people of Edo State the extent to which their wealth was utilized. It's something that has to happen.
Yeah, right. But you didn't answer the question on Peter Obi is in support of the candidacy of Barrister Osabu Olumide Akpata.
But it's not part of Labour Party.
Why you not
no,
well, first of all, I left the Labour Party because the likes of Osagbabo Akpata came in with so much money, and so I'm no longer a member of the Labour Party. Oh, my brother, you don't need a soothsayer to tell you certain things.
All right.
18, no, let me get down to that. 18 Sienna buses distributed across 18 local governments, 5 million naira given to all the local governments, and he himself in his own word kept saying it. Una see what I don't give una see what I don't do for una. Una give me the ticket, I will do more. Did you watch the video? I assume you are a Labour Party supporter, but if you are a Labour Party supporter, did you not watch the video of Akpata himself exposing his financial ordeal while covering the sentiment of the base of the Labour Party? Why did every other aspirant leave Labour Party? Have you asked the aspirants in Labour Party what transpired while they were aspiring on that platform?
Please, we are not here to be arguing. Please don't mute yourself again. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Paul. You know,
you're welcome, sir.
I was trying to avoid. Thank God that give us a mandate. You have managed to expose your own candidate by yourself. That's it. Because the question you should be asking is different from what you are. How can you be telling a candidate of YPP to support your candidate in Labour Party? Is that not an insult?
Can you hear me now?
No, yeah, I can hear you on CM now. So thank God say you by yourself expose your candidate.
No, you don't get them.
Mr. Paul, were you in Labour Party?
You see my thumb.
Mr. Paul, were you in Labour Party?
Yes, I was.
So why did you leave Labour Party?
Now, somebody asked me a question. Let me quickly respond here. He said, why did I leave Labour Party? Sir, when Peter Obi was pushed out of PDP, causing the dollarization of the primaries of PDP, I was among the first person who led a delegation to Labour Party Secretariat at Ogbelaka, asked the state chairman of Labour Party, Kelly Ogbaloy. It was I who started the movement to give energy to the base in Edo. I set up Obi Youth movement across the 36 states of Nigeria. You could see videos on my Facebook holding meetings in Abuja, telling young people for the first time to queue behind this candidature. I did not know Peter Obi. I didn't have to know him, but I had this belief in my heart that this man's body language will resonate with the people. And then the people should stop praying for good governance and work for it. I don't believe that when you truncate God's will, which is the will of the people, he said the voice of the people is the voice of God. But by the time you manipulate the voice of God and you put another person there, God will no longer listen. So I was looking at the voice of the people behind Peter Obi, and if this comes to bear, then when we pray, God will answer. But what eventually happened? When I suggested to the state chairman of Labour Party to add me, to suggest me to the presidential council for the campaigns, and I told him I will use my own money. I'm not asking for money. He was afraid of my rise in Labour Party. He pushed me to an extent that I made a decision to leave the place for him. Ask every other aspirant who were aspiring at the platform of Labour Party. Now let me bust more bubble of Labour Party. So do you know when they invited, when we were seeking meetings to meet with the state executive of Labour Party, we were charged 2 million naira to have a sit down with them. And you will be the one that will they will tell you the hotel. You will take care of the bills of drinks and food when you and whoever they bring to such meeting. They did that.
All right. No. Give us a minute, please. You are done. Okay. If you continue like this, you know that.
Mr. Elvis. Okay, can I ask my own question now?
No. Mr. Elvis, please. I have let me do a follow-up to the response. No. Just a follow-up to the response that
No. Hold on. You will do follow-up later. We have people that have not said anything. Before I call on CACM, let me put this through. If you have your candidate, the platform is here for anybody to support their candidate. You know, it's the first time. You know, this platform was locked during the general election. I used my platform to support Peter Obi and Peter Obi alone. All this one we are doing, everybody now have their candidate. It didn't happen in 2023 general election. But you telling another governorship candidate in YPP why you not support your own candidate? You are belittling your candidate. This is disrespectful. That's one thing you must never do. You know, no, you don't do that, sir. You don't. Even me myself, I found that. Please don't. Okay, thank you. Hold on now. Hold on. You are happy now. Don't expose your candidate to the whole world. So let's move on. No. You don't have to mute you. I will talk later. Let's get to everybody first. Please, Oga CM, you have the floor, sir. Okay. Your question.
Okay, thank you very much, Naija Watch. Please, first and foremost, I must have to apologize most sincerely for the embarrassment because I should have spoken earlier than now. I don't know for whatever reason, for what it is worth, people decide to attack me just because of me. I don't know why, but thank God I've overcome. Mr. Paul Okungbowa, obviously, say your wife is Igbo, so you are my in-law. I'm Igbo. I'm not from Edo State, but I take interest in what concerns Edo State because of what the ancient kingdom of Benin stands for. So I take interest. And if you might know, I missed admission to University of Benin by some cutoff. So since then, it's paining me, despite the fact that I've gone beyond that. Yes, thank you. Yes, so please, actually, I prepared a question. I thought I would have asked earlier, maybe the first, second, or third, but due to the trend of events, I have the question I now have for you is based on what you said here. So I just wanted to make a pushback, not really pushback, but just to put it back to you and then let the people listen to what you have to say. Number one, you said when you were answering questions from Naija Watch on agriculture, you said you've done soil sample analysis of Edo State. There are 18 local governments, 6 in the north, 5 in the central, and then 7 in the south. So you said you've done soil sample analysis to know which crop is suitable for which area. Do you mind telling us exactly the community where you picked the soil, the local government, what the test analysis was, where you did it, and what crop is suitable for each? Because you said so. That's why I'm taking you on it. The second one is, you told us of a story while answering a question about old people, and then children. You said a driver drove a trailer somewhere around the Uselu market. You were buying something, you just heard that an old man has been used as a brake pedal. Unfortunately, the man died. May his soul rest in peace. Then in your attempt to rescue the situation, you ordered the driver of the trailer to run away because what you call mob action. The question from there is, what does that say about your sense of judgment? Number three is people say that the population of Nigeria is about 220 million. You told us here, you said you don't believe that Nigeria should be in the neighborhood of 300 million to 350 million, 350 million. Now, the question I have for you is this. Do you have idea what the neonatal mortality rate is in Nigeria, infant mortality rate, death rate, and birth rate? Because these are some of the things I believe you should have at your fingertips in order to be able to arrive at this, to dispute the figure of 220 million the federal government, everybody is using, for us to agree with you on 300 to 350 million. So, in other words, we know the parameters for knowing population and then what goes in between. So if you have these figures, or if you know, just let us know based on what you said anyway. I didn't make up the question I brought for you. I just have to keep it in the cooler. This should be more important for people. You know, this is Naija Watch. We are here for Edo people. It's just for Edo base.
Okay.
Thank you.
It was the last comment that you made that actually made me, like say you kept it in the cooler, meaning the question is hot. Your question, first of all, I appreciate it. It's very tasking, you know. First of all, I'm a microbiologist, and I'm not the kind of person who leaves knowledge at surface. I'm a consummate reader. You could read a line, and I read same line, and I tend to see way more than that. When I was trying to run the agricultural projects, one of you confirmed online just now that I was calling him for part of the meetings. Then I became curious as to if we can take tomato away from the north and take pepper away from the north, because I see the trailer loads that park at Aduawa every now and then bringing tomato from the north. And I'm also curious if we can take onion from the north, you know. And so I had visited Associate Professor Kenneth Omorui of Faculty of Agriculture, University of Benin. And we had this talk, you know, because the associate professor I make mention of was my schoolmate. He's not an old associate professor. And so I tasked Kenneth to help me with, you know, how, if we engage in this, you know, will we fail if we are looking at XYZ kind of crop, you know, vis-a-vis tomatoes, cabbage, onion, pepper, lettuce, you know, anything that has an incubation growth period of 2 months, 3 months, gets into the soil, comes out so we can hit, you know, our project running. It was Professor Kenneth Omorui who had given me this analysis that by his own soil sample analysis, because they have these things in journals. It's not like something that we have to do, you know. There are already existing project work on soil sample analysis. If you want tons of them, you can get them today, you know. It was these reference materials that he made reference to and said, everything I have listed can grow in Edo State. Then he was particular about a particular region in Edo Central. I've forgotten Igwebe or I've forgotten the part, but he told me that the land mass that is yet to be cultivated in that particular local government is more than the land mass that is to be cultivated in Edo South. And his emphasis was on yams, that the size of tubers of yams that make it out of that soil is way bigger than the size of the tubers of yam that make it out from the soil in Edo South. So I make a reference to educational authorities, because as a microbiologist, I didn't want to rely on my own, you know, intuition or my own knowledge or my own findings. You know, Professor is an associate professor, not a professor. Kenneth Omoruyi will be somebody whose materials on soil sample analysis and the viability of agricultural produce, one will have to make available to you either by link in the have them on soft copy for you to study, and rest assured that I consulted authorities. I did not just make any spurious claim on that. Then you asked a point that you were trying to weigh my sense of judgment as to asking the driver to bolt. So we can't have two dead bodies in one place. If one was dead, for me, the right thing to do was to save the other one. And of course, he cannot elope from trailer. The trailer was impounded, and he was eventually captured by the police because this thing happened in front of the barracks by Uselu. You know, he was finally led to safety where he would go and account rather than being allowed to be killed by the mob. So for me, I think I made the best call at that material time because the emotions of some persons will be flaring. And these persons may not take into cognizance the vis-a-vis the issues that had happened to this same driver. And so I did not want a jungle justice scenario while I feel I could take care of a scenario at that particular time. So I don't know if such was a poor sense of judgment in your opinion. But in my opinion, sir, I felt like keep this one alive. If he's guilty, he will serve his jail term. There is no way it can amount to murder. The worst that happened is involuntary manslaughter. If he has his driver's license, he may literally almost get away with it. You know, if it can be proven by FRSC analysis that the old man wasn't supposed to cross that particular part and that there was supposed to be a speed break before that part, I don't know. If he was driving too much of speed at that particular part, I don't know. These indices needed to be looked into by those whose job is to look into it. But how are we going to be looking into it and serving justice when the man has been killed? So for me, I felt the right thing to do was to ask him to take leave first. Then, on the, you mentioned the mortality rate occasioned by, as a staggering reference to my population claim just now. But sir, if you listen very succinctly, sir, you will hear me when I mention that it is my belief. There is no authority that I quoted. I said it is my belief that Nigeria should be ranging between 300, 350 million. And I stated why my belief can to an extent have some measure of substance. Remember, I said that in the course of that population census count, which happened about 13 years ago, and since then they've not done any other one. So you and I know that since then people have not stopped giving birth, and at the same time people have not stopped dying. But we cannot compare the rate of death to the rate of birth. The rate of birth always supersedes the rate of death. At the same time, I also made reference here that my 4 kids were not counted. And about 13 years ago when this count happened, my wife was not counted because I asked her. She was still a girl there. I had not met her there. You know, I'm very sure that my cousin who lived with me here was not counted. And I'm very sure that my wife's younger brother who lives with me here was not counted. You know, because they were probably, let's say 13 years ago, my wife's younger brother should have been like 10 years old. You know, I can very much say they possibly were not counted. So I am using what you could best describe as a possible geometric analysis, you know, giving the empirical facts on my side as an individual.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Thank you. I think we need to move on. The last person on the panel is Oga Chris. That is the last person, and I'm going to take just 5 calls in case you guys
want to beg, sir. I'm sorry, Mr. Naija Watch. Please, I want to beg for 5 minutes. I want to quickly use the restroom and come back, please.
Of course, you can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Okay. While we have our break, my people, you know, I salute to that. And let me quickly acknowledge those of you who have supported us. Please hold on.
Mr. Elvis,
hold on.
The guest has left us.
I'm talking. Please. Thank you. Anthony Ola, thank you very much for your support. You said my question, Mr. Okungbowa, since you say that you
what
are.
What I'm saying is that.
Mute now, that Chris. Thank you. You know, I'll see if I can pass down your question. Thank you very much. Ijidima, thank you very much for the support. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. God bless you. Amazing Grace USA. Thank you very much, madam. Thank you very much, Kes Dogiraki. And once more, Adelaja Ogumbi. God bless every one of you, my people. Thank you so much. All right. Mr. Jonathan, you wanted to quickly say something? Okay, you are not there. Somebody wanted to quickly say something. Okay. Nobody is available to speak.
No, it's me. It's me. When
okay,
when he comes back, I don't know if there is still anybody in the at the back.
Yeah, we have
Otherwise,
one person here.
Okay, I don't have.
Otherwise, what, sir? Go ahead. What do you want to ask?
I said otherwise. When he answers from Chris, if he can still take one more question from me, I will bring it up, because these ones I've just asked was based on what he said. I didn't prepare for this. Just what I heard him say. I wanted to.
You know, you need to let him go. He's been with us now. He's been with us for over 3 hours. So we can discuss that within ourselves. You know, let's limit the questions now, because callers need to have opportunity to call in as well. Once Oga Chris come in now, I take 5 calls randomly. Those of you that are going to come in.
Mr. Avi, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Avi, sir.
Yes, sir.
Please, I will still appreciate some of the questions that are asked at the background through the comment section, if you can still ask him those questions directly. Because he's not reading the comment section.
Yeah, but we cannot pass everything. That's the thing. You know, not everything we can pass.
Just one or two, just to recognize those at the comment section. You can just read one or two of their questions.
I already saved one just now that I just showcased that I will show. You know, only 1 or maximum 2 I can take on the comment section. Yes, sir.
I asked and say Bended Beauty because he not answered that one.
Bended Beauty. He did.
He can't go back there anymore. He have answered.
He answered you very well, very, very well.
Yes,
the man is very good at answering questions.
We are not going back again. He have been here, and I noticed that some of the questions that some of you are asking him, fear not let una ask when Godaro or Lumide for here. But now they take advantage.
No, me ask for but now not let me enter Ashwell.
Hold on, sir. Hold on.
Mr. Elvis, the reason why he's asked that much question is actually because it says a lot. So it's very easy for you to pick on what it says to ask him questions.
Yes, but I know. I want, if you give answering without 100% respect, that same respect should be given to anybody that comes here. If you give it to Olumide, that same thing will be given, like what Givers Amade was doing, telling him to leave his position to be supporting Olumide. Who is Olumide? That is disrespectful. Mona not make person they hate to the candidates.
Now you don't get the question. You are twisting the question, and that's not right of you.
You say why can't he support Olumide?
No, that's not right.
Who is Olumide?
That's not how I said it. The question is, listen, if you are an obedient and you support Peter Obi said,
you know, yes, say now Olumide pursue him
listen, sir. Peter Obi said
he use money pursue him.
Hold on now. Don't say that, Mr. Elvis. It's allegedly.
It's not allegedly. Did you know how many of our people that left that party?
Mr. Elvis, you are also found one thing, because this is
not allegedly. I have other people who left that Labour Party.
Do you have the evidence? Do you have the evidence?
I have other people. I have other people that left Labour Party.
He was an aspirant. He just said it openly that all the aspirants left because of inducement of
Peter Obi
said, not allegedly anymore.
To be honest, for me,
why did you support Apata? That's the question.
Hold on, my brother, give us a mandate. What I'm saying here is that you guys should know my stand. Olumude is not better than Mr. Paul. Aswen Godaro is not better than Mr. Paul. Mr. Paul is not better than Aswen. Mr. Paul is not better than Olumide. But if you are supporting any of these people, and you come here to use your satanic candidate to intimidate another candidate that is on my screen, I will join the candidate to beat your own candidate. Now, so it be simple as ABCD.
You are still not getting it. You are not getting it. This is it.
Because you come up for your house. No, may leave your own career. May go to join Olumide.
This is it. You and I today, we support Peter Obi because we are obedient. Peter Obi support Akpata.
Margaret, obedient does not mean you must support who Obi support. Please.
Please just hold on. Peter Obi support Akpata. Mr. Paul said he's an obedient. Right. So if he's an obedient, why is he not supporting the candidacy of Peter Obi?
You don't understand the meaning of obedience. You are just such obedient. You don't understand that meaning at all.
CM, wait. CM, please wait. CM, one question. One question, CM, please. Give us our mandate. Can you state in quantitative terms what Mr. Olumide Akpata did to advance Mr. Peter Obi's presidential campaign?
That one a long question. Now me supposed to.
That's a very good question. The air. Okay. At least this aspirant has just told you how he mobilized for Peter Obi.
And where was Olumide Akpata throughout the presidential campaign?
Wait. Let's move on because my candidate is ready.
Most of you, like Mr. Jonathan, doesn't have candidate.
Hold on. We need to move on. Give us a mandate, please. Just hold on. Like I said before, anybody will not want me to beat your candidate where. Not look down on another candidate within my screen. If not, they will all beat your candidate where anyhow for this platform. Thank you. Let me bring my candidate back again.
No, Naija Watch.
Yes, sir.
For me, I would still like contribute. If we really want to stay on the topic, No.
Hold on. Your contribution is void right now. Your question, now one here, Nasa. What is your question and where are you joining us from? Our candidate is listening to you. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Paul, it's good to have you on the channel, and it's a pleasure to share the same cyberspace with you. My name is Chris. I'm speaking from Dublin. I really commend your effort and the zest you've put in answering the questions and in trying to be as open as possible. Well, there are some things I just need to say. First of all, to the questions, and the first one is this. What do you hope to do differently from what Obaseki has done for the state? That's number one. And number two, now you are a candidate from an insider. Because you are a candidate, I assume you know the problems of the state. So I want you to critically evaluate the government of Obaseki with respect to 3 areas only. The first one is security. Then the second one is road construction. Then the third one, which actually you also affected you in the past, that is in terms of health. Can you critically tell us if the general hospital setting in the state is affordable, should be the way it's supposed to be for the generality of the people? In all sincerity. So I want your answers in that. So having asked that question, I just want to make some suggestions. Considering the role that you said you played during the Peter Obi and Labour Party era, I'm a bit taken aback because majority of us, we don't seem to know you on this channel, considering the fact that this channel was dedicated all through the presidential campaign to Peter Obi. We've been here every day since Peter Obi made his declaration that he wanted to contest. And you are from Edo State. This channel is from Edo State. We were here every day. We didn't hear of you. In short, when somebody came to talk about you like 2 weeks ago, we were surprised. Who is that person? So considering your role as a grand mobilizer for Peter Obi and Labour Party, we expected to have known you before now. And I just want to use this opportunity. If you don't know this channel before, this is Naija Watch. From what you can see we are very fair here. And with the grand reach of people you have in Edo State, I will encourage you that you tell your foot soldiers to come and be members of this channel, to say what they want to say, politically active. You have the youth. So encourage your people to come. We expect you to feature in this channel more often and often. You have the tentacles all over Edo State. So make this channel known to the youth. You have a lot of people in IT and everything. So promote this channel as much as you can. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Oga Chris. Before you answer your question, now inside a baby, now you talk to us.
Sorry. You know, I'll be only my camera. Sorry.
We don't know country where they talk from, whether now Yugoslavia or Ghana or
now.
where.
You know, say I don't on my camera since. Sorry.
Okay, which country were you talking from, sir?
I said Chris from Dublin.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Paul, you can take that. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Chris. Your questions are, for me, nerve-wracking, and it's very good as well. Now, I will start from you asking me to evaluate the administration of Governor Obaseki so far, and you were particular about 3 areas: security, road construction, and health. Now, my response to this would naturally answer the first question is, what will you do differently? Because the nearly 4 hours were spent online, since I believe to an extent I have been able to reel out certain ways and approaches. Mine is majorly wealth creation. And then when there is so much wealth, we either decide to steal it or to use it for the people. And so when you have somebody who says he wants to use it for the people, it means that what can be done is immeasurable, and then what should be done is no longer a matter of question, even as far as welfareism for our elders and everything that we have listed in our manifesto. But what we are trying to do principally is to take the burden away from the people, take the burden of taxation away from the people, and create wealth for the people, and at the same time use same wealth for the people. And that way, when we say we want to triangulate the 3 senatorial districts of Edo State with railway system, it is something that is doable and achievable if you can reel out 13 steps to create wealth for the people of Edo State. And that naturally also answers how we are going to raise the GDP of the state, because there are a lot of steps that I have worked on practically, sir, and some of these steps I've had to put them into practical use, so that it doesn't seem like what I have mostly is just theoretical ideas. You know, I'm a living proof of what I'm preaching, and so when I'm preaching it, I try to give you the picture of what I'm preaching, so that way you can see my manifesto as something that has flesh and blood, and not just in documents only. Now, on security, sir, am I satisfied? No. If you ask me to evaluate this administration, I would say more can be done. But now let me put some things on ground so you too can also relate with it, sir. The Edo Security Network has more than 14,000 members across the 18 local governments of Edo State. But it will surprise you to know that the Edo Security Network is not being paid salaries or being paid any form of emolument. Now, what these guys literally do is use the security network to hold security space and briefings. For example, programs like church programs or burials or whatever it is where security is needed. So this is how they generate stipends, and they also hold security briefings in private business environment. I have some in my place where I do business. I have like 4 there, that I put on salary. But on the state structure, there is no salary structure. And I've had to ask some of their coordinators these questions. And if you also ask me, if the state was actually enjoying security, I don't think the chairman of PDP would have been kidnapped last month. And so I think what we have is people wearing uniform and hold some guns. And then again, I don't think there is strategic approach to decimating crime. You see, what I designed goes after crime before crime is even perpetuated. And so I feel like if you are actually talking of security, my question would have been to the state governor, where was he when Delta State was passing the anti-grazing law? When he was holding, he didn't pass any anti-grazing law in Edo. And of course, Edo shares a border with Delta State. So naturally, if Delta sends them away from Delta, they're going to move into Edo State. And where were we when the local communities in Edo today have been taken over by herdsmen? Or the Gote community is completely, there are some of them that are now in the city, actually in the Via Federal constituency. My running mate, Ahmed Tijani Mustafa, his uncle was shot 2 weeks ago by herdsmen in Edo North. And every now and then, if you open up to the radio program called Man Around Town in Edo here, you will hear more of the insecurity as reports come into that local program. And so the very fact that the party chairman of the chief executive officer of the state was kidnapped is a scorecard that I don't need to put a figure on. Anybody can put a figure on it. The very fact that farmers still do not find it comfortable to go to their farms, and then we have food shortages in the rural environment, is a scorecard that I don't need to put the data to. My twin brother's wife's in-law was butchered in his farm. Ebuka, when they killed Destiny's father, was not 3 months ago? Okay, last year, December. He was butchered in his farm. As in they kept looking for it. They didn't see him. They kept looking. They see him. They finally look. He went to farm. They went to his farm and saw pieces of meat on the floor, human meat on the floor. And this is the reason why most of these rural dwellers no longer feel comfortable in their farms. My late mother had a farm within the city, though, or there's a plantation for palm. We always warned her against going to that farm because she could jam killer headsmen. Of course, I know that they are good headsmen. It's to be inappropriate to say all headsmen are killers, but there are killer headsmen, and the story is everywhere. So on security side, if you ask me, the security network of Edo State just now, I think those men are doing the best they can. But I don't think there is proper funding. I don't think there's proper incentives, because it takes iron to sharpen iron. If you want me to clear out the villages and the bushes of Edo, engage those who understand the farms, like the hunters. Conscript the hunters into a security network, have them paid for it. And of course, iron sharpened iron. There are people in the rural environment where bullets will not enter their body. You don't pretend when you are trying to deal with such crime. You bring such persons in. In fact, you make public advertorial. If you know you have audacity, come and enter the bush for us. We will pay you to go to the bush and make sure every human being in the bush is out of the bush. So I don't think there is real practical, real doable thing happening as far as security is concerned in Edo State, if you ask me. Then, on road construction, sir, very recently we started seeing the election road construction ongoing, which is for me an attempt to fool the people. Because for the past 7 years, one will say, where have you been? You know, what have you been doing? But most of the roads that have been done in the past 7 years, sir, if you come around them, I can take you, if you were here now, I can take you around some of them. They are bad already. There are some of the roads that were like, the road from Wasota was done without drainage. Uwelu, they are currently not doing drainage. And if you go around the city center, there is no part of Benin you go through, you don't find heavy potholes so long as you drive. Drive through Wasota. Drive through Okungbowa Lagos Road. From, in fact, they had the long old started, like I said, election construction started going on. Just drive around the city. You too will ask yourself, like the question I want to ask. Edo State government so far has borrowed 250 million or so. I have the document they've received 250 million naira from the central bank for education uplift. And they borrowed $76 million for same education uplift from the World Bank. But the schools in Edo, are they reflective of this money? But then again, you go to Google, I don't have to tell you too much. Just type schools in Borno State, government schools in Borno State. Then you'll be ashamed that a state that is Boko Haram ravaged, a state that is dealing copiously with insecurity, a state that doesn't have bearing in Edo in terms of comparison with IGRO with Edo, a state that cannot come close to Edo in terms of federal allocation, has so much to prove in terms of their education. So if you ask me on road construction, I will tell you personally, sir, I am not satisfied, because as of yesterday, I still have to park my vehicle and wait for the rains to subside so I can drive through Tom Line. Then on health, so let's not go to health too much. If we go there, we'll be exposing too much things. Because when Stella Obasanjo also was defunct and conscripted to a new nomenclature in the guise of COVID-19, which has now become a proof that our people in government use that COVID-19 to loot the people's treasury a lot. After they did that, they started working on getting the hospital back. Till today, the hospital is still not functional. And then again, when they renovated the central hospital, to take card in that place became 10,000 naira. How do you expect the vulcanizer, whose child probably has a lifestyle disease, to pick such card? So if you say point to functional government hospitals that has been saving lives and saving lives before now. I'll tell you, UBTH is overwhelmed because the people's attention is more in that location. If you ask me about the Irua Specialist Hospital, I will tell you to go and ask again if it is well equipped with equipment. But then again, if you look at the private PPP, they now did with Central Hospital, because the Central Hospital private PPP is a friend of the governor, the owner of Lily Hospital, that they now contracted that hospital to be managing on behalf of government. Of course, it is a PPP, but go and look at that one. They furnished it well. But how much does it take to take a card there? So does that mean that the poor man's child should just die the moment he falls sick? So if you ask me, sir, we're not satisfied. It is not near satisfaction.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Paul. If I have to add to, before we start taking calls, because I'm only going to take 5 calls. If I have to add to what you just said, I will succumb to it, and I will agree with you 100% that when it comes to road infrastructure, Obaseki failed woefully on that, and I have proof. You know, my staffs carried camera from one road to another, all the road that Governor Obaseki have constructed, many of them are dilapidated already. So in that area, he failed woefully. So there's no two ways about that. So let me take some calls. Thank you very much, Love God is my strength. Thanks for calling in, man. Please, you just have 1 minute. Go straight to the point, your question. Thank you.
Okay, quick, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to go another way. Good afternoon, Mr. Paul. You have spoken so well. Well, I'm going to go in a different way, and I really want you to tackle this issue. We have looked at YPP as a steward for APC, and I'll give you why. Yuba was one of the members of YPP, and he left the party to APC. Your chief chancellor of the Young Progressive Party, Mr. Baruma Peter, when Tulumbu came in, he started supporting Tulumbu. He left his party and started supporting Tulumbu, that Nigeria should give Tulumbu chance, that is going to unite Nigeria. And I want to put it to you, another of your member, that with so much love, I've forgotten his name. He also gave alliance to Tulumbu. We all loved him so much, and he decided to work for Tulumbu as one of his press man.
All right.
So looking at you, yes, I know you have a good intention, but I will tell you, in my own mind, I'm thinking that you are good to APC. So I want you to give me a concrete part to believe you that you are not one of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, Mr. Paul, hold on. Let me add one to it. Mr. Shimizi, thanks for calling in. Good evening to you. What's your question? Go straight to the point. Your question.
Good afternoon. Yeah, Mr. Paul. Good afternoon. This is
Good evening, sir. Okay.
Calling from America, Maryland. Yeah, my question goes like this. How popular are you in Edo States? And again, how are you going to convince Edo people? Okay. And how are you going to match the PDP and APC? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ogashimizi. Thank you. Okay, I'll come back to the next caller. Hold on for now. Let him take these two questions. Please, Mr. Paul, please take this on time.
I'll be quick. The lady that called and said that she has an inclination to think that the YPP in Edo here is a stooge to the APC. Well, first of all, I became a member of the YPP after the presidential election, when I saw the trajectories of the Labour Party that I had my hopes and expectation with. When the moment it became dawn on me that this wasn't the Labour world that we worked for, I had to take my leave. So most of these scenarios played out behind me. But let me also say this, that you see, the politics of my stomach and the stomach infrastructure is why you find good people with good intentions mostly relegated in the course of trying to vie for political office. And even the people themselves will have some modicum of doubt, because there has been an issue, a process of garner support and sell out to the big party, or sell to the one who is going to give you some monies to, continue I'm very convinced that this election is going to be the people versus INEC. I am so convinced that because I am not moved by money, I remind you, I had mentioned earlier, and I'm also asking you to go and check about me. If I was moved by money, I would have been making so much from WAEC malpractice. I find myself in a spot where I am more interested in my ideas working. I love to have that, that mental orgasm. That's the things you are thinking of are working, and it's making life better for people. But this is not to say that in every political party or every political space, there are people who are best described as political hirelings. Right now, what is happening in Edo is this one is resigning to go and meet that one is resigning to go and meet this one because there is no political ideology. In the Western clan, for example, when the far right say this, because this is their school of thought, this is their ideology. When the far left say this, this is their school of thought, this is their ideology. And of course, there are times where the far right gets the overwhelming support of people because this time it is time for war. There is a time where the liberals will, but here we do not have such strong political ideology. That is why we have men who are stronger institutions than the platforms themselves. But I want to assure you, man, that there is no other way to convince you that I am not here as an appendage of APC, other than you pay attention to my voice as campaigns are rolling out. You will know if I'm covering the sentiment of any person, of any big class. As a matter of truth, my campaign is going to be so enraptured with facts and proof, and it's going to be so annoying to the upper class, both ruling party at the national level and at the state level. And that is why I have done the needful to ensure that security is something that I have prepared myself for, because I know they will try to come after me, because I will spare nobody, not even the Apako missile that was mistakenly launched from APC. Not even the Aswe that want to come and swear for the Edo people and join Obaseki to ruin the place of the palace. Not even the Olumide Akpata, who is a complete stranger. Of course, we know his story as well too. You see, I have said in my billboards, big man no get our time. All of them are big man than be. And they have proven that they don't have our time. Olumide Akpata proved this when he went to go and launch a hospital, a healthcare system inside Benin Golf Course. So people who can already afford healthcare. Why didn't you go and launch it in Igbobazuwa? Why didn't you go and launch it in Igbobazuwa? So there are, in the course of campaign, you will understand my body language. You will know that this one came to represent the people. As in, regardless of their tribes, my interest is just let the people stop suffering. If government can use their policies to just bring some self-relief, let that happen. Then the next question I want to respond to is, how popular are you in Edo State? Well, election is a context of popularity. But let me say this. Until they rolled on the big structures that they have, and until the governor anointed Aswe Godalo, and Bakomiza was launched in by APC, and then of course their media urchins, social media urchins took to daily bombardment of the social media space. And of course Akpata is not trying to measure up in that regard. I'm more of a household name than all the three names put together. I have been in the pre-university tutorial space for the past 22 years, and I've interfaced directly with more than 100,000 young persons directly. By reputation of my works, there is no home that hears my brand, Gorilla Brains, that don't know what I stand for, or that have not heard my voice for the past 15 years echoing on radio programs discussing what can happen to their children. There is no home, I may bold to say, that there is no direct protege or indirect protege that I have had to interface with directly. As a matter of truth, the length and breadth of my spread is so organic that one of the judges in the Edo State Magistrate Court in Edo Justice, Idegbe Ibadin, was my former student. The popular Nigerian musician called Rema. Rema was my student in Ekewan Road. And I could keep many professionals and entertainers, the skit maker Sydney Black, and they were my students too. And I have had to, the doctors who delivered my wife of my twins, because I'm a twin, I also gave birth to twins 7 years ago, Dr. Edo, were my students. The likes of the Dr. Orue, who have become consultants in UPTH, and of course, other generations behind me, were all my students. So the length and breadth of where my candidature will be discussed is in bedrooms and homes. Parents will say, I know him. I know him. And very importantly, I'm a proprietor of 5 schools. I have nearly 3,000 communities of parents who know me and see me every goddamn day I go to schools or hold PTA meetings with them. So I don't want to assume that because I don't have money, like those other big names, like I said, what they have more than me is money, not content, not even acceptability. The people are more on our side as ordinary people than these big names mentioned. Then how am I going to match APC and PDP? I'm not going to match them in any form of with any form of violence or rigging. I'm going to match them. I'm going to take them away from their familiar territory to unfamiliar territory. I have said countlessly that they have never campaigned. All they do is gather crowd and insult each other. That one, pastor for night, this for night. Adel Shomole was renowned for it. When Obaseki was contesting election, what did he discuss with the people? There was no discussion. There was no social contract. For the first time, I want to discuss with the people. I have made my plans ready to engage radios and televisions locally here to keep sharing dreams on what we can do in terms of agriculture, or what we can do in terms of healthcare delivery, what we can do in education. We will saturate their ears with what we can do. And on the basis of that, we pray by God's grace and by the tiredness of the people that there will be a voter revolution for the first time. The people will go and kill behind a nobody who has plans to make everybody somebody. When an ordinary man has extraordinary ideas that can make everybody live a extraordinary life, only the one who has become bigots will take himself away from such a community.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Let me take my last 3 calls. The next caller now is we have hold on, let me quickly take this. Thank you very much, Madam Origin. Thanks for calling in. Good evening to you, ma'am. Please, you have 1 minute. Your question.
Hello, Mr. Paul. Hello, Mr. Naija. I greet everyone. Sorry, I didn't want to ask a question, but another question. This is Madam Origin, the self-appointed cheerleader of this honorable group. I greet you, Mr. Paul. Straight to the point. We are talking. I have listened as much as I can on all the antecedent and great things you're going to do for Edo people. Please, we have APC, PDP. They are the nightmare of Nigeria. Nigeria people, they are the nightmare. And let us say, for example, by all the Edo people rally around you and elected you, and you're willing to carry out all that you have in your mind, and they come with their evil. They will want to blackmail you. They will want to do all kind of things to jeopardize your what you plan to do, to undermine. Now, my question is, between the APC, PDP, and Mr. Peter Gregory Obi, who will you run to when you are faced with a dilemma in your governance? That's my question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let me take another one. Please, bullet point it, sir. No, Mr. Paul, please, just bullet point it. I'm taking another question. Mr. F.A., thanks for calling in. Please, we can hear you. Just go ahead. What's your question?
Okay, sir. My question is that, well done, Mr. Paul. Good evening to our platform today. I'm F.A. Tobori. I'm calling from Italy. Sir, the question I want to ask you is that since 2003, cultists have been killing people in Edo State. All till now, there's no solution for it.
No, he have answered that question already, sir. He have answered that already. Do you have another question?
Okay. What about the issue of electricity? How are you going to fix constant electricity in Edo State, sir, at the good road?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. F.A. I'm taking just one more, sir. Just hold on. Let me take one more from Black Panther. Black Panther, if you are there, please speak to us. Thank you, guys. Black Panther, are you there?
Hello.
Black Panther, you know the talk?
are you hearing me now?
We are hearing you. Go ahead. Okay. What's your question, sir?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving this opportunity. And thank you, Honorable, the governorship aspirant for YPP. I want to ask you a question. What is your political base? And what do you think is the tools that you need to put in place before you start thinking of all the beautiful things you've spoken about, how you're going to reform agriculture? What is the platform you need to put in place before you start doing it? And how are you going to do it? And how are you going to source for funds for it? And give us the duration.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. My last caller for today. Hello, your name and where you calling us from? Hello, hello.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. My last caller.
Hello, good evening, sir. Mr. Naija, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Paul, my name is Iraro Sarumense, calling from Germany. Yeah, are you hearing me, sir?
Go ahead. What's your question, sir? Thank you.
Oh, okay. Mr. Paul has spoken since, so I've not heard him talk about Orion local government.
Then you ask him. Ask him now.
Okay, Mr. Paul, please, what is your plan for Orion? Being as a bigger local government in Edo State, I have not heard you say anything about Orion local government. Sir, this community, Okoroma community, which Obaseki destroy life. Please, what is your plan about Okoroma? The land Obaseki take away from people there. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to refund it back to the people, or you are going to execute the plan of Obaseki? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, Natural Man, thanks for calling in, sir. Good evening to you. Your question. Hello.
Okay, yeah. Hello, yeah. Good evening.
Off your TV now.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Anyway, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Naija Watch and family platform. Then I want to quickly appreciate Mr. Paul Okungbowa. You know, I've heard him speak once, and I'm also hearing him speaking now. You know, so before I ask, I personally requested him, Naija Watch, to invite him to the platform. You know, I was already convinced with him. But what I will want to ask Mr. Paul Okungbowa again, I think you were already speaking on how you can partner people in diaspora through your agriculture, the way they can hold Africa shop in diaspora. So I want you to finish that talk because you didn't finish that talk. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, callers, we are done. So that was about 4 people that called in. I think you managed to bullet pointed all of them down. Please take all of them, sir.
Okay, the first question was the issue of when there are political discourse or dilemma within, and it's more like, who do you revert to within APC, PDP, and Labour Party? There is no easy way to answer this question, madam, because the truth is this: as far as leadership goes, it finds its bearing within politics. And politics has been proven to be wanting interest only. But you see, the overriding interest is the betterment of the people and their lives. And so when you find yourself in an unusual situation, when such times present itself, there will always be counsel, there will always be options, there will always be alternative. I think the right thing for us to do, for someone like me, is to always take the less punitive one, to take the one that is less draconian, because recently I saw the Waziri of Adamawa article made a statement that if PDP was to consider ceding their ticket in 2027 to the East, and if Peter Obi was to be considered for the ticket, that he would gladly support Peter Obi. Now, there was perhaps nobody probably would have seen such political marriage in future, let's say a week ago, perhaps because we couldn't discern the thoughts of Atiku Abubakar. So to put your question mildly, let's not say I'm doing justice to it, but I'm saying when the future comes, what overrides all forms of challenge is a will for us to want to take the best option. There will always be option, but the better option will always be an option that we'll embrace. And somebody raised a question on electricity. The issue with electricity or having constant electricity is that like the recent hearing of trying to revert back to state to have state police, and of course the issue of electricity has been a subject until recently. The federal government started losing grip on such control, and currently now Edo State has an independent light project, which is the Osiomo light project. The Osiomo light project in Edo State is powering certain aspects of Edo State and government institutions, not necessarily everywhere yet. But to be truthful about it is, like I said, the willingness. If you sit down in an office where someone has left, you should be able to look through the books and see what the person has done. And if the thing that the person has done needs improvement, naturally you should be able to improve on that electricity supply. And so my own question is, because there is no document in public domain, nobody really knows the extent to which the state is benefiting from the Osiomo power project. Nobody really knows the PPP structure, in relation to who is taking what comes to the state. Is the state taking what's due her? Because of course, if you have put up such light projects, there should be room for expansion. So if the state, for example, decides that whatever comes to her purse from the private-public partnership arrangement is dedicated to expansion. So it means that naturally you may begin to look at how to increase on the grid and how to increase on the facilities that are present so that you can begin to drag the lights into environments where the common man can access. But then again, this electricity is not cheap. I have people who have drawn it in across open road feeders, especially in band A environment, and they tell you it's not cheap at all. And so when you look at that, you also now be looking at alternative source of electricity. See, I make bold to say, sir, that even if you put a blind man in government today, people who see better than him will correspond with him because of his body language. If his body language is industrial push, it means naturally there needs to be availability of light to have such growth sustained. So naturally, whatever we see, since it has already started, it's not like it's not something that hasn't started. Since the state has already started an independent light project, it is not incumbent on any government that gets on board to first of all know, was this transaction fraudulent? The PPP inside this thing, does it belong to some people in government? Or is it expressed that this thing is a state project? If it is so, how is the revenue that comes in managed? How is it? What is the extent to which one can improve on it in terms of facility? If it is generating XYZ megawatts at a particular time, what will be required to put into it for it to generate more? If we just let us use this one to approach industries and approach big people and big banks or hotels and all of that, while the BDC can be taking care of other regions, we can concentrate on that because of the purchasing power. But if it is something that government at state level can eventually subsidize, if government at state level has other revenue sources, other real copious revenue sources, it means that we now have the leverage to improve on what we have on ground. But we cannot wish it away. Whether I like it or not, it is already there. I cannot begin to tell you today that there's nothing has been done about that. But it is not the grid that I use. I use BEDC. So the question would be, how do we make it better and bigger? Then, on good roads, sir, well, I don't know what to say. But all I can say is that I'm not making it up. The roads they have been constructing in Edo are poorly constructed. It is like they just give money to some persons and then the money that they appropriate from government coffers is not what was given. I don't understand. But the roads that they are constructing in Edo don't last long. There was a particular road that I took cognizance of. Within 6 months of the road construction, the road had serious potholes. And as I speak to you, that road has now gone bad and completely eroded. And I will not be the one who will start saying this, but you can put your people back here on ground to go and take pictures or videos of roads for you. But what I can tell you is this: Samuel Okungbowa still is credited as one of the best performing governors of Edo State. There's a particular road inside EDPA. That road was constructed by Samuel Okungbowa. That road is stronger than strong. That road is one road that each time I drive through it, I keep asking myself question: is that the asphalt that was used to make this road is no longer in supply? Is it that the quality control agency are no longer asking questions as to the quality of asphalt, or has the natural deposit of the asphalt that was used then is it different from the asphalt of today, or was it a method that was implemented? Because recently I saw a road that was constructed at the Law College Road extension. You know what they did on that road, I think it will last long. You know, no matter how critic I am, I must also speak of good when I see them. What they did was to use granite base, very thick, up to like more than about 10 inches thick, you know, with rods to cast the road. Then after that, they started asphalting the road. So I think such road would perhaps do better. So on the issue of road, people like us will sit down and be asking, what is the best approach to have long-lasting roads for our people? Then the question, number 3 question on political base or tools needed. Well, I don't know, I cannot understand the frame, the title of the question, but let me assume that what you meant is how ready is the party called YPP? You know, first of all, we are doing everything to ensure that we have the 4,910 unit agents, which will be logged into INEC portal before the end of June. You know, because without those unit agents, you will not have any impetus at all, because elections are won or lost at the unit level. Those who will come and try to compromise elections will also try it from the unit level. And we are also mounting pressure on INEC to sustain what was done in the last governorship election in Edo, wherein they transmitted the results by the IROF and the BVAS transmission. If they will do that, then we are hopeful that there will be less in manipulations at unit level. But for now, my party is raising the necessary membership strength of men and women who will unbiasedly serve as polling unit agents. And at the same time, we have been able to set up our campaign structures across the 18 local governments. We have currently all the local government. We have our local government offices. They sent me a picture of the maiden edition of Agbede today. Yes, I saw the pictures today. And we are now moving into wards because we know that in the wake of the 2023 presidential election, Labour Party had no party presence. But you see, one man's narration started bringing such like minds, and people started donating their houses to be used as campaign office and all that. But we know we're going to get the goodwill of the people because our message is what's most important to us. But for as far as preparations go, we're already in the process. Then the other question was source for funds. I'm not a wealthy man. I'm not a billionaire. I'm far from even a reasonable millionaire. I'm far from it. What is leading me is my passion to serve and the ideas I carry in my head. But so far, I've always had this belief that if you leave the leadership selection process for those who have commercialized it, what you get at the end of it is what you've deserved. And then if the people will rally their base by themselves to ensure that the government that they are asking for is like a clay given to them, they molded it by themselves, I believe that such government will be in tandem with the people. I have done my best as a single individual to raise the awareness of the candidature to a reasonable extent. As I speak to you, I've been able to personally finance about 7 radio presentations for 2 months, daily engagement to keep selling our manifesto and our content to the people. And then we've also been able to make provisions for posters across the 18 local government. They pasted those ones and they are still pasting. We have been able to make provisions for stickers. We have 3,800 stickers as of today that we're already mounting on vehicles and buses in parks. Those that will accept the ordinary man mandate sticker from us. We've been able to also get branded materials like caps, that we will distribute, although not adequate, but we believe that help will come from those who begin to internalize the concept that we are bringing on board just now. And we've also been able to make provisions for local TV engagements. And then we've also been able to make provisions for internet engagement with some TVs who are calling us for interviews and all of that. We've been able to put our campaign manifestos sectionally into several videos. So on education, there's something we prepared 30 minutes video for that. On security, on all the areas we intend to address, we prepared videos, and we have started boosting these videos on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter.
Okay, Mr. Paul, let's move on. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Because to be honest, you have spent so much time with us. I'm even trying to reduce the time so that we can let you go. But meanwhile, I have a question from the comment section. As you can see right on the screen, if you can read that and respond to it, sir, in 1 minute.
He said, since you're an obedient, don't you think having two obedient candidates in YPP and Labour Party is counterproductive and will be ceding the elections to PDP or APC? That's not correct. The language obedient, like I said earlier, are people who got tired of APC and PDP. There are people who got tired of the rule of the high and mighty, and those persons who have shown nothing but their wealth, but no content to drive the ship of everybody. So the obedience that came on board in the course of Peter Obi were not of Labour Party. I need you to get that very correct, sir. Today, your candidate in Labour Party is struggling to connect with that base. That base is not a base you can come and hoodwink because you have some millions or billions of naira. That base is not a base you can come and curry their sentiment because you have become candidate. How did you become candidate? Did that base create the candidature? That base is a base that is listening and waiting for that Peter Obi persona, that character that can almost be like a Peter Obi of Edo State kind of thing. That's industrial drive. That person who is fearless and resolved to doing the right thing. When they keep hearing that voice is the voice of obedience. So when you say two obedience are in a race, no. I believe I'm the only obedient in this race currently, and I don't have to be of Labour Party. Neither do I have to shake hands with Peter Obi. Peter Obi is a man. What he came on board with is an ideology. Like I told some persons, Peter Obi may not be declared president, but he will forerun more micro Peter Obis because the impetus at all is something that he could not deny. The you cannot set up a market and decide who come to trade. Peter Obi has started something in fluidity. He has expressed himself. He has given Nigerians the impetus that a government can be created on the back of the people. And that's why APC lost woefully in the last presidential election in Edo State. It was so the margin of difference was a far cry from reality. In my village, the money they brought to my uncle who was vice chairman of APC got 3 votes at the end of spreading that same money. And Peter Obi didn't go to my village. It was the idea that went ahead. So if your candidate who so far has not reeled out any plan, but saying he has money, I will do more, I bought this for you, I've given for this, I will do more. If that is what he's coming on board with, he's not different from APC and PDP.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Paul. Black Panther, you've given the question before. No, please. Stay mute. Everybody stay mute, please. Black Panther, quickly now, mute yourself now. After they call your name, you know, mute yourself. I thought you wanted to say something.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to say something. Sorry, I thought you were trying to address something. Thank you, moderator, and I thank you, YPP governorship aspirants. I want to ask you one question, and I want to trace it from what you answered. When you were on the road and somebody got an accident, the trailer driver, and you said the person should run away while you are there trying to bring the body out so that they can take it to the morgue. Now, in the eyes of law, you are wrong. What makes you think we can trust you in the eyes of the law when there are issues like that come to play a role, and your judgment is for you to truncate law and allow what you think his right to go on.
But he already answered that. Somebody asked him that question before.
Black Panther, let me repeat my answer again, sir. For me, it is better to have one dead body than to have two dead bodies. For me, it was better to avert jungle justice, which of course doesn't solve the problem, because they would have probably burnt the trailer, burnt the man, burnt his driver, his motorboy, and probably another person who would just say anything contrary and start senseless killing. The right thing at that moment. There is no easy way to actually fix such a scenario other than to first of all push away that spirit that is looking to take more blood. The people perhaps could be very angry, and then there'll be recklessness or senselessness or killings. The rational thing to do at that moment, sir, was not to hand that driver to be lynched by the mob, was to take the driver to safety and hand him over to the police, in which case I told you that the driver was eventually apprehended because he couldn't just have abscond and leave trailer alone. But at that material time where the accident happened, the first instinct that occurred to me was mob. They will lynch this guy to the death. Okay, check this. You see that backyard. Run in first. Give me your key. Run in now. He ran there. We took his key, trying to save the old man who eventually died there. But eventually, the police, when they came around, they got him and they took him away.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Paul. That was the second time you are responding to that question, and I support you 100% for what you did.
That was very nice rescue mission.
Exactly. You know, a country where we live, where we have so many, 80% of people, or rather, let's say my own statistics, 60% of people living like animals. You know, they'll put tire on this person's neck and take his life without nothing. So you did the right thing, sir. Let's just move on.
It was an accident. It wasn't murder. It was an accident. It wasn't murder.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Let's move on. Everybody have given their questions, and they have answered all of them well. So, in case you are not satisfied with the question, you can debate that afterwards.
Mr. Elvis, I have a follow-up.
No,
question.
no follow-up, sir. He needs to leave.
There's no follow-up. I've been asking for this for
no, but it's been years now, for almost 5 hours, almost 4 hours now. Okay, go ahead,
Naija, you can answer. We can reply him.
Thank you. Because you said in one of your responses, you said you do not intend to depend solely on the Fed allocation. If that is the case, you must be able to outline without ambiguity, with specificity and clarity, where will you get the revenue from? Give us the projections of those revenue that you think will augment. And lastly, sir, you can't. Please, Mr. Elvis, please, I'm sorry. If Mr. Paul, if you are elected as the governor of Edo State, will you commit to support the candidacy of Mr. Peter Obi come 2027? Thank you. Those are the two questions that I have for you.
Okay, let me quickly answer that. Increasing the revenue outside IGRO is list of solutions to problems. You agree with me that if you have a solution to problems, it naturally should create wealth. And unfortunately, we did not read through my manifesto as to the workability of my economic blueprint. But all of these things I've also prepared as a way of engaging people in the near future. I have solutions to problems. I've documented them. I've reached out to authorities on them. And these solutions are capable, very 100% potent to generate the needed wealth. I gloated in the course of talking that from insecurity alone, if you run what I projected in 2 million Nigerian homes, you'll be generating $1 trillion at the end of 12 months. And this is not something that I am being boastful about. It's something I've even done. In fact, a senator offered me 10 million naira to patent the project from me. If I didn't have solutions to problems, I will not come out in this space. So I want to assure you, Mr. Jonathan, in the course of our engagement, as I start reading out my plans, you will see by yourself that everything that I have is just wealth creation, to create wealth for the people. Then, if I will continue to support Mr. Obi in 2023, sir, I am not stereotyped. If Mr. Obi keep maintaining the expectation that gave him off in the course of the presidential election, and he keeps reaching out in a way and manner where the trust value or that idea that Nigeria could get better through this man is something that is maintained. I'm a human being, sir. I will naturally, even against my own party, become and remain obedient. First of all, before politics or allegiances were first of all human, me, I'm more committed to what makes life better for the people. Except my party produces somebody at the presidential, at that level, who has an equal resume, who has an equal appeal, who has an equal viable concept and ideology to engage the people with. It is on that note I will remain partisan. But if my candidate from my party doesn't have such a capacity in the candidature, I promise to remain obedient. If Peter Obi does not betray the people eventually, if he does not stray from the path that we have suspected it to be now.
Thank you. Thank you. Your response to that Peter Obi question, trust me, you deserve to be applauded. CM, you want to say something quickly?
Yeah, whether he will promise us he will have a return match, because we could have been firing questions. Okay, so you lie and tell us when you are having a return match, because
if Naija Watch tells me to schedule it, I'll come back.
Okay.
Yeah, Naija Watch, 10 seconds, I beg.
No, sir. No, I'm
not
sorry.
Be question, no, it's not question. It's just a simple request, not question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Paul, earlier on, I told you about Naija Watch. Are you going to promise us that you are going to promote Naija Watch to all the youth that you work together with? Having seen the quality of this station.
Yes, I will.
You have answered that. Good. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Please, everybody stay mute. I want to use the opportunity right now to appreciate Mr. Paul for your time with us today.
Mr. Naija, it is you that I should be thanking. Honestly speaking, it is you that I should be thanking. There are some persons who platform who have asked to be paid before we come to put our voice on their platform. It is you that I should be thanking, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Somebody wrote me an email requesting we bring you here. And another person wrote me a WhatsApp message requesting that we bring you here. But the one that wrote me an email was actually asking me how much do we need to pay that he will pay from America just for us to have you here. And I told him we don't charge anybody for these things. So what we do privately or publicly is the same thing. We don't do these things to generate money from anybody. You know, I just want a better Nigeria. I'm from Edo State. So I'm doing what I'm doing today because I want my state to be better. I don't want us to continue from the way it is right now. You know, Obaseki, we don't need somebody like Obaseki anymore in Edo State. Obaseki failed woefully in terms of infrastructure. He failed woefully with a capital letter. I'll continue to say that. I'll never remove that. But who knows, amongst you all that is campaigning right now, within you, Dr. Aspen Godara have been here, Dr. Abarisa Olumide Akpata have been here, you now you've been here. So currently we are looking for Akpakamuza, not Makamuza, I don't know how to put it. We are looking for him everywhere. He's nowhere to be found. But whether we like it or not, one of you guys will become the next governor of Edo State. I pray none of you will emulate, or rather follow the footsteps of Obaseki. If not, we'll continue to talk for the next 4 or 8 years. Thank you very much, Mr. Paul. I want you to use 1 minute to address, say anything you like to address everybody that is listening to you. About 700 people were watching you across. Address them in 1 minute so we can let you go.
First of all, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have this opportunity to talk with this house.
No, Mr. Sam. No. It's closure now. You talk later, sir, please. No more question. Go ahead, sir.
First of all, I'm blessed to have your ears. It is not natural that an ordinary man who does not have a portfolio but have dreams to share will begin to correct the understanding of those persons have an issue who do not owe him or he doesn't owe them anything, but it's just for the love of motherland, for the love of the right thing being done, want to hear. we are very privileged and we feel blessed by the opportunity given. And I know for those of you in the diaspora, your time is very valuable. And for you to spare it, it means a lot. And say, may God bless you all. And as time goes on, I want to make an appeal that if we make sense to you, please do not deny us supporting this candidature. There are people who depend on you back home. There are people you could call to say we believe in this mandate. If you do, please help us to sustain the momentum. I can't do it alone as an individual. I'm not even coming close at all. But I know that the major contestants in this race now are only major because they have money, not because they have the dreams or ideas to share as much as we are willing to share.
Exactly. They are only major because they have money. I like that part. They're only major. So thank you very much, Mr. Paul. We need to let you go right now.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Elvis, before he leaves, I'm not asking a question. It's not a question. It's not a question. It's just a comment. It's just a comment, not a question. Thank you. I want to appreciate. I've heard about him. YPP. I'm wondering YPP. You know, my listening to you today, I can say to a very large extent, I'm highly impressed. I'm highly over-impressed. Seeing a young man who is able to articulate issue-based campaign. That's what you did today. I want to appreciate you. In my own score, as far as I'm concerned, we only have 2 candidates now in Edo State. Just you and Aswe Godalo. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Paul. God bless you, sir.
God bless you, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, bye for now. All right, guys.
It is easy to say that you have Aswe and him.
Thank you. All right.
You don't know.
Hello. Abeg, can somebody help me off? Give us a mandate mic.
No, off give us a mandate. You didn't off Sam's mic, right?
You're supposed to off Sam's Uncle Sam mic. Not give us a mandate.
Supposed to off Sam mic also.
Okay. Everybody, hold on.
Just continue.
Hold on, your body to the hurt, my friend. You calm down. Only you now. You can't give people go back Oboko for market. You say they take beat your candidate.
No, Naija watch. They not beat our candidate too.
Naija, they not beat our candidate. I beg, not talk. They not beat him. He know answer the question wrongly.
Hands down.
Naija watch. You can't play political stunt. You know.
Give us a mandate. Black Panther.
You know answer any question.
Give us a mandate came to reduce this candidate here today with your actions.
No. We did not reduce any candidate.
Let me give my post-mortem.
Naija watch. Can we start giving a feedback? We need to give a feedback, please.
Let me give my post-mortem.
Hold on, everybody. Oga CM, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. At least, thank you very much, Naija Watch, for the opportunity.
I will, Oga CM, handle the platform. I will come back so that Madam Luke can take my spots.
He must hear me. You wanted him to be here. Where they go? He don't play one stone too. Naija said don't play one.
For this broadcast, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good night, and see you guys. Thank you, sir.
I remember I dash on 30 minutes. I don't follow the call. I remember that.